Chapter 884. Spiritual Master Du Feng frowned when he saw the golden sword light disappear into the secret room, but in the end he didn't barge in. In the secret chamber, Wang Qi, who had just advanced to the core forging stage, suppressed the ecstasy that came with the advancement of his cultivation. Just as he was about to go into closed-door cultivation to completely stabilize his cultivation, he heard the sound of a sword whistling through the air. The protective array formation in the secret chamber was instantly shattered, and a golden flying sword appeared in front of Wang Qi. Seeing this familiar flying sword, Wang Qi was excited and wanted to stand up. Unexpectedly, the flying sword seemed to have expected this. It slammed the back of the sword into Wang Qi's shoulder and pressed him back onto the ground. The sword light circled around and stabbed into the thousand-year frost in front of Wang Qi, sinking half of it into the sword. Only then did Wang Qi notice that there was a purple jade slip on the tassel of the sword hilt. This golden sword light was naturally the golden scale sword that Lu Ping had used for the longest time. The golden scale sword had condensed 6 treasures and was a top spiritual artifact. However, it was difficult to improve its quality, and the golden scale sword was refined using a secret art of the Koi clan. Without the inheritance of the Koi clan's secret art, the golden scale sword wouldn't be able to reach the spirit nurturing level no matter how high its quality was. That was why Lu Ping had abandoned it in the end. However, for someone like Wang Qi who had just advanced to the core forging realm, this artifact was already a valuable treasure. However, even though the golden scale sword was precious, Wang Qi couldn't wait to see the purple jade slip tied to the sword tassel. Lu Ping stayed on Frost Island for more than a month. Mara's clan attacked Frost Island twice more, but these 2 attacks weren't aimed at Jinling's area. One of the 2 attacks was aimed at Ocean Flame Sect's area, and Mara's clan was repelled by the combined forces of several sections. However, this time, the intensity of the ambush was clearly higher than before. Several late core forging great Azuras hid in a corner and suddenly launched an attack. The Ocean Flame sect and the other sects didn't have Jinling's sect's mother-child traction array. It was said that many blood condensation realm cultivators had fallen. Even core forging realm cultivators couldn't save them in time. 5 to 6 of them had died, and one of them was even a late core forging realm cultivator. The second attack was more than 10 days later. This time, it was aimed at one of the 12 allied forces. Even though they had been alerted and strengthened their defenses beforehand, they still couldn't stop the attack. Countless Mara Great Azuras broke through the island's protective formation and started a massacre on the island. By the time the other forces' reinforcements arrived, this force had lost a third of its guards on Frost Island. The other forces had also suffered losses. The cultivators on Frost Island all thought that this was Mara's revenge for their failure to attack Jinling's area last time. Xianling sect and Blue Sea sect wanted to use this opportunity to incite the 12 forces to oppose Jinling. Unexpectedly, Profound Sky Laozu called Spiritual Master Xianxin over from Heaven Spirit Mountain and built a mother-child traction formation in the area where the 12 forces were stationed. At the same time, he also strengthened the island's protective formation in Jinling's area. As a result, not only did the 12 forces not oppose Jinling at all, they were actually grateful to Jinling. Before Lu Ping left Frost Island, he was called to the palace by Profound Sky Laozu. I heard that you've been collecting lightning tribulation water recently. Are you preparing to condense your golden core? Lu Ping didn't know where Tian Shui Laozu got this information from, but Lu Ping didn't deny it either. He said directly, "That's right." Tian Shui Laozu said with a hint of envy, "Heaven rank upper grade spirit item. Ever since our sect relied on Laozu, it has been thousands of years since anyone was able to condense a 9th grade golden core. The lightning tribulation water you're refining this time is said to be the hardest to refine among all heaven rank upper grade spirit items. How confident are you now?" Although Lu Ping didn't know why Tian Shui Laozu asked about this, he still answered vaguely, "This disciple wants to give it a try. There's always a certain amount of confidence." Tian Shui Laozu didn't care about Lu Ping's intentional concealment. She nodded her head and took out a jade bottle with a spirit-breeding talisman stuck on it. She said, "There are 4 drops of lightning tribulation water in here. They were condensed when your senior ancestor Tian Fan and I went through the lightning tribulation. It's not easy to send out a disciple who has the potential to condense a 9th grade golden core. If you can use this lightning tribulation water, just treat it as a reward from the sect. Lu Ping happily received the lightning tribulation water. After thanking Tian Shuelaozu, he was about to leave when he heard Tian Shuelaozu say, "When you return to Tianling Mountain, go to the Talisman Crafting Pavilion to take a look. Perhaps Xianju might have some extra 5-colored restriction-breaking talismans." Lu Ping's heart moved as he thanked Tian Shuelaozu. Unexpectedly, he heard Tian Shuelaozu say, "Your senior master Xianju's cultivation has already reached the stage where she's about to refine her 3rd spiritual item. With her current situation, I'm afraid she won't be able to condense a high-grade golden core. You have to think of a way." After all, Xianju's talent in talisman crafting can be said to be number 1 in our sect. If she can't advance to the Transcendence realm, it would be too much of a pity. After returning to Tianling Mountain, Lu Ping headed towards the Talisman Crafting Pavilion. Although Taoist Xianju's cultivation wasn't good, he was a true talisman crafting genius. Due to his cultivation, Taoist Xianju could only craft the 5-colored restriction-breaking talisman. At the very least, Lu Ping's current cultivation wasn't any weaker than Taoist Xianju's. However, when it came to crafting restriction-breaking talismans, he was still stuck at the 4-colored restriction-breaking talisman. He was unable to successfully craft the 5-colored restriction-breaking talisman. Furthermore, according to what Lu Ping knew, Taoist Xianju's current success rate in crafting the 5-colored restriction-breaking talisman was not any lower than Tian Shuelaozu. The only pity was that Taoist Xianju's cultivation foundation was too weak. According to Tian Shuelaozu's estimation, even if he were to forcefully refine a 3rd spiritual item, Taoist Xianju would at most be able to condense a 4th or 5th grade golden core. It was almost impossible for him to advance to the Transcendence realm. During this trip to Frost Island, Tian Shuelaozu had privately asked Lu Ping if he had any methods to forcefully raise Taoist Xianju's cultivation to the Transcendence realm. The meaning behind her words was very clear. She was asking if Lu Ping could use the spiritual forging pill to give Taoist Xianju a sliver of hope to advance to the Transcendence realm. This caused Lu Ping to be in a dilemma. With Taoist Xianju's current situation, even if he consumed all 3 spiritual forging pills, he might not even be able to condense a 6th grade golden core. As for the 7th grade golden core, he shouldn't even think about it. Although the spiritual forging pill could raise the rank of a golden core, there was a limit to it. 3 spiritual forging pills could raise a cultivator's golden core by 1 or 2 levels, which was already the limit. To give Taoist Xianju a sliver of hope to advance to the Transcendence realm was almost impossible. Furthermore, although Lu Ping had grasped the method to concoct the spiritual forging pill, the amount of spiritual herbs required to concoct a batch of spiritual forging pills was simply too large. There were a few extremely rare 3,000-year-old spiritual herbs that even the entire Jinling only had a few of. The success rate of concocting the pills was also very low. Furthermore, according to Taoist Xianju's current situation, he might need to consume 3 spiritual forging pills in one go. Furthermore, he might not even be able to condense a 7th grade golden core. If it was just for her, it was truly not worth it. However, Tian Shuelaozu's reasoning was something that Lu Ping agreed with. After all, Taoist Xianju was a rare talisman crafting genius in Jinling. If he could advance to the Transcendence realm, his success rate in concocting the 7-colored restriction-breaking talisman might even be higher than Tian Shuelaozu. Furthermore, the path of talisman crafting was broad and profound. Since Taoist Xianju was able to advance to the Transcendence realm, the talisman crafting technique in Jinling would not only improve on the restriction-breaking talisman. Lu Ping's arrival at the Talisman Crafting Pavilion had caused Taoist Xianju to be rather surprised. When Tian Shuelaozu had been guarding the Frost Island, and like the previous generation's Laozu, she had gradually faded away from Jinling's affairs. Thus, the person in charge of the Talisman Crafting Pavilion was Taoist Xianju. Hearing that Lu Ping wanted to exchange for some 5-colored restriction-breaking talismans, Taoist Xianju muttered to himself for a moment before saying, According to logic, these talismans cannot be exchanged with martial nephew in private. However, since martial nephew wishes to use spiritual items to exchange for them, martial uncle will make an exception for once. However, I can only give martial nephew 2 of them. I wonder if martial nephew can exchange them for a high-grade earth spiritual item? Although the value was slightly higher than Tian Shui Laozu's, it was still within Lu Ping's acceptable range. Lu Ping handed a high-grade earth spiritual item to Taoist Xianzhu and said, "Martial uncle, are you preparing to smelt the spiritual item?" Taoist Xianzhu smiled bitterly and said, "It's still too early. If I were to smelt the spiritual item now, I, martial uncle, would not be able to use this high-grade earth spiritual item. At most, it would be a 4th-grade golden core. Although the chances are slim, I still have to try. As long as I can condense a 6th-grade golden core, I will at least have a chance to advance to the Transcendence realm." Lu Ping took the restriction-breaking talisman and asked casually, "Why haven't I seen senior sister Xianzhu since returning to Tianling Mountain?" Taoist Xianzhu was Taoist Xianzhu's disciple. He was also the cultivator with the highest attainment in talisman crafting amongst the 3rd-generation disciples of Zhenling. Although Taoist Xianzhu's talent in talisman crafting might not be comparable to his teacher, Taoist Xianzhu, his cultivation was much more reliable than Taoist Xianzhu's. He was one of the transcendence seedlings that Zhenling would focus on nurturing in the future. Lu Ping was originally just asking casually. Unexpectedly, Taoist Xianzhu replied, "You should know about the situation outside of Huanyu Island. Recently, it seems like it's getting more and more restless. The demon race and Azure Sea sect's cultivation have already clashed several times. Although our sect will not directly intervene, it is necessary to understand the situation beforehand. Many of our 3rd-generation disciples have been sent out to monitor the movements of both sides. Your senior sister Xianzhu has also gone." Lu Ping said in surprise, "Is there really the legacy of Azure Sea sect's Laozu there?" Taoist Xianzhu shook his head and said, "Who can say for sure? But it's hard to say. Originally, there were rumors that the hidden treasure could only be opened by combining the thin water and flowing sword left behind by Azure Sea sect's Laozu. Currently, Azure Sea sect only has the thin water sword. The flowing sword has never been found. However, this time, Azure Sea sect seems to have obtained some treasure in Intian Dojo that can be used as a substitute for the flowing sword to open the hidden treasure." Lu Ping nodded thoughtfully. After asking Taoist Xianzhu some important talisman crafting techniques, he immediately took his leave. Lu Ping returned to his cave residence on Tianling Mountain. 3 days later, Tianlin Laozu summoned Lu Ping with a sound-transmitting talisman. Lu Ping knew that since old ancestor Jiang Tianlin had called him over at this time, he must have made preparations to go out and find a place to undergo his first lightning tribulation. Chapter 885. A cyan Luan was circling elegantly and proudly above Jiang Tianlin's head. From time to time, it would raise its head to look at the sky and let out a high-pitched cry at the increasingly dense cyan clouds. It seemed to be provoking and looking down on something. Deep thunder was brewing in the cyan clouds, and it was getting closer and closer. The flashing clouds were getting closer and closer. Lu Ping took the storage magic tool that Jiang Tianlin Laozu handed over. It was a cyan sleeve. Looking up at the huge cyan phoenix, Lu Ping could easily sense traces of pure yang qi in the phoenix. However, the pure yang qi was different from the one that Lu Ping had absorbed and refined before. The pure yang qi in Jiang Tianlin Laozu's phoenix was more like something embedded in the phoenix's body. This was because it had refined the soul of the phoenix. Although it was closely connected to the phoenix, it had not been completely integrated into the phoenix. It seemed to lack a suitable opportunity to completely integrate the pure yang qi in the body into the phoenix's phoenix. This opportunity was undoubtedly the thunder retribution. Jiang Tianlin Laozu still had an item in his hand. This item was the wood attribute Blood Shura's companion spiritual treasure that Lu Ping had given him. This companion spiritual treasure had obviously been modified at this time. It had changed from a root into a magic treasure that looked like a small tree. However, the small tree was obviously bare, without a single leaf on it. The power of a companion spiritual treasure could be unleashed in the hands of a blood shura, but in the hands of a human cultivator, its power would be greatly reduced. Even after modification, it could only recover about 70 to 80% of its power. If he wanted to recover the power of the spiritual treasure, he would have to go through a lightning tribulation. Even so, the power of the spiritual treasure could not be maximized. However, the lightning tribulation this spiritual treasure had to go through was much lighter than other treasures that wanted to become spiritual treasures. Otherwise, Jiang Tianlin and Laozu would not have dared to take it with them. Lu Ping looked at the modified companion spirit treasure. He knew that in order to modify a companion spirit treasure, only Tianjiang Laozu could do so. It seemed like Tianjiang Laozu had already finished repairing the mountain-splitting axe. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the time to modify this companion spirit treasure. Tianlin Laozu turned to Lu Ping and smiled, "I'm going to start. You brat, be careful." Lu Ping nodded and the 7 treasures lightning calabash slowly appeared above his head. It carefully condensed into a small thundercloud above Lu Ping's head. Lu Ping could even feel that the moment the 7 treasures lightning calabash appeared, the thundercloud in the sky seemed to have a mind of its own. It focused on the calabash. Although this attention was very small, it still caused Jiang Tianlin Laozu to look at the 7 treasures lightning calabash with surprise. After all, this was the #1 legendary artifact. Although it was only in its embryonic form, even Jiang Tianlin Laozu could not remain indifferent to such a treasure. Jiang Tianlin Laozu signaled for Lu Ping to start. Then he threw the small tree-shaped companion spirit treasure into the air. The companion spirit treasure suddenly grew in the air. Its branches were thick and strong. There were many branches on the main trunk, but there were no leaves. This was to let the companion spirit treasure go through the tribulation first. This way, the power of the lightning tribulation that Jiang Tianlin Laozu experienced might be strengthened. However, it seemed that Jiang Tianlin Laozu did not care. It didn't take long for Lu Ping to figure out the reason. The companion spiritual treasure's quality wasn't as high as he had imagined. If he let the companion spiritual treasure experience the heavenly tribulation after Jiang Tianlin's heavenly tribulation, the enhanced lightning tribulation would most likely be destroyed by the green lightning. Even so, after being struck by 3 bolts of green lightning, the flourishing forks of the spiritual treasure had been almost completely destroyed. The remaining trunk was also charred black. The green phoenix was still circling, but it had previously avoided the descending green lightning. Now, after Jiang Tianlin Laozu made a few hand seals, the green phoenix had already shortened the radius of its circling and began to fly above the companion spirit treasure. In the sky, a muffled thunder rumbled. Before the thunder finished, the 4th bolt of green lightning had already descended. A feather floated out of the green phoenix's body and was struck into nothingness by the green lightning. However, the green lightning itself was also weakened by a lot. Just as it was about to fall on the companion spirit treasure's branch, a fork appeared inexplicably and was swallowed by the 7 treasures thunder gourd. The power of this lightning tribulation that fell on the life companion spiritual treasure was almost on par with the power of the 3rd green lightning. Lu Ping felt that after the 7 treasures thunder gourd swallowed the green lightning, it was like eating a pot of hot and spicy soup. It was like it was sucking in cold air, but it was not willing to spit out the thing in its mouth. In the 7 treasures thunder gourd, a green lightning jumped around in the sky above the lightning tribulation water. After a while, the lightning gradually weakened. Lu Ping could feel that the lightning had been consumed by the 7 treasures thunder gourd. However, the quality of the 7 treasures thunder gourd did not improve at all. Obviously, the lightning was too weak and the quality was not high. It was far from being comparable to the 2nd lightning tribulation that celestial phenomenon Laozu had experienced. As they spoke, the 5th bolt of green lightning had already fallen. The green phoenix still only had a feather floating out, but this feather was much more linglong than the previous one. It was obvious that its power had increased a lot. However, Jiang Tianlin Laozu did not dare to be too obvious. Otherwise, he would definitely be in trouble. Once the lightning tribulation of the green phoenix was attracted, the power of the lightning tribulation would not be as simple as 1 + 1. the seven treasures Thundergourd once again sent out a green lightning bolt. This time, the power of the lightning tribulation that the seven treasures Thundergourd endured was stronger than before. Another large branch was turned to ashes. There was still no movement in the seven treasures Thundergourd. Originally, Lu Ping wanted to see if the seven treasures Thundergourd could condense the seventh treasure. However, after the lightning bolt entered the Thundergourd, it felt like a clay ox entering the sea. Jiang Tianlin Laozu smiled bitterly and said, "I didn't expect the seven treasures Thundergourd to be so weak. It seems that the blood Shura had just become a blood Shura. The foundation of the seven treasures Thundergourd is still very weak." Lu Ping smiled and said, "That's not a big deal. As long as it passes this lightning tribulation, it can still be used." Such a seven treasures Thundergourd originally had no chance of passing the second lightning tribulation. As long as it could pass the first lightning tribulation, it would be able to unleash power that was not weaker than other first tribulation spirit treasures. After all, even if it was a first tribulation spirit treasure, Zhenling did not have many. As far as Lu Ping knew, other than Tian Xiang Laozu who had a second tribulation spirit treasure, only Tian Shui and Tian Fan, the two Laozu spirit treasures, and Lu Tianling Laozu spirit treasure as the sect leader. Other Dharma adepts, even a mid-Dharma adept like Tian Kong Laozu, did not have a spirit treasure. If this spirit treasure managed to pass the lightning tribulation with the help of Jiang Tianlin Laozu, it would definitely recognize Jiang Tianlin Laozu as its master. Zhenling had 5 spirit treasures that he could control. If he included the Linglong wine cauldron in Lu Ping's hands, it would be 6. Such a foundation could not be said to be shallow. When the 6th green lightning struck, the 7 treasures Thundergourd still did not have any reaction. However, the lightning above the thunder tribulation water became more violent, and the 7 treasures Thundergourd was gradually dyed with a layer of green. However, from the 7th lightning strike onwards, the 7 treasures Thundergourd finally had some changes. Lu Ping's divine will had already captured that outside of the 6 treasures prohibition treasure, there was already a rune that was gradually forming, and it was gradually becoming clearer. When the 7th lightning strike landed, the power of the lightning suddenly doubled. The life companion spiritual treasure had already been chopped down to its last branch, leaving behind only a bare trunk. In order to not attract the attention of the lightning tribulation, Jiang Tianlin Laozu could only provide limited help. When the 8th lightning strike landed, another rune had formed within the 7 treasures Thundergourd. However, Lu Ping was also controlling the amount of lightning that could be absorbed. From Lu Ping's point of view, if he was not careful, he would invite trouble upon himself. Even if he had to destroy the life companion spiritual treasure, he could not let anything happen to the 7 treasures Thundergourd. Ancestor Jiang Tianlin looked at the 1/4 of the tree trunk that had been smashed. He let out a breath and said, "It seems like it's not a big problem. However, after the thunder tribulation, this wood will need some time to recover its power." When the 9th lightning strike landed, its power had a trace of celestial phenomenon Laozu's tribulation. When the green lightning struck, it was like a green waterfall falling from the sky, burning half of the tree trunk. Lu Ping hid far away and watched as 3 runes condensed within the Thundergourd. The mysterious aura surrounding the soul companion treasure finally began to be absorbed by the tree trunk. The tree trunk that had been chopped off gradually recovered. Then, one branch after another emerged from the tree trunk. When the mysterious aura around it had completely disappeared, the soul companion treasure had once again returned to its original appearance of a small tree. Then, Lu Ping's divine sense noticed that the mysterious aura around the life companion spiritual treasure began to flow back and condense in the center of the tree trunk. A faint figure began to appear within the tree trunk. After a moment, a thin and weak boy with braided hair tightly grasped the trunk of the tree trunk with both hands timidly appeared from behind the small tree. He looked at Lu Ping from afar, then rushed to Jiang Tianlin Laozu and said, "Would greets master." Jiang Tianlin Laozu nodded his head. The tool spirit would slammed into the tree trunk. The small tree slowly shrank and fell into Jiang Tianlin Laozu's hands. This life companion spiritual treasure could now be considered to have been completely transformed into a tribulation spiritual treasure. In Lu Ping's core space, The Seven Treasures Thunder Gourd could be said to be furious at this moment. The speed at which it revolved around the Golden Dan was much faster than usual. Just as the last bolt of blue lightning descended, the Seven Treasures Thunder Gourd finally drew in a faint trace of pure yang qi. Unexpectedly, after Lu Ping refined the pure yang qi from the celestial phenomenon Laozu's tribulation, Lu Ping's Zhenyuan already had a trace of pure yang qi. Therefore, this pure yang qi did not bring too much difficulty to Lu Ping before it was completely refined. However, this time, before the Seven Treasures Thunder Calabash could do anything, the refined pure yang qi that was transformed into the life origin energy was completely devoured by the golden core and the white jade lotus. Even the origin time bead was only snatched by a tiny bit. As for the Seven Treasures Thunder Calabash, not even a trace was snatched. Chapter 886. The thunderclouds in the sky didn't dissipate. These thunderclouds were originally condensed because of Jiang Tianlin Laozu. That was why they could help the wooden treasure when it was going through the lightning tribulation. If not, Jiang Tianlin Laozu wouldn't have allowed the wooden treasure to go through the lightning tribulation with him. Although the Seven Treasures Thunder Calabash wasn't Lu Ping's natal treasure, it was still a special existence among the many treasures in the core space. Previously, when Lu Ping was refining the pure yang energy, the Seven Treasures Thunder Calabash had been intercepted by the Seven Treasures Thunder Calabash. This time, whether it was the white jade lotus or the gentian pearl, they were both spirit cultivation level treasures. At least in terms of quality, they were superior to the Seven Treasures Thunder Calabash. The Seven Treasures Thunder Calabash was originally going to cause a ruckus, but Lu Ping suppressed it with his divine will. In the sky, Jiang Tianlin Laozu's lightning tribulation had already begun. Jiang Tianlin Laozu clearly told Lu Ping not to interfere during the first 6 lightning strikes. He needed to borrow the power of the lightning tribulation to completely refine the pure yang energy contained in the Dharma body. Lu Ping knew that Jiang Tianlin Laozu was well prepared. His foundation was even deeper than Laozu, who was at the same level as him. With the support of the Dharma body soul, even without the help of the Seven Treasures Thunder Calabash, Jiang Tianlin Laozu wouldn't have too much trouble passing the first lightning tribulation. Even so, Jiang Tianlin Laozu's lightning tribulation couldn't be compared to the one experienced by the wooden treasure. Although Jiang Tianlin Laozu was well prepared, after the first 6 lightning strikes, the originally high-spirited blue Luan Dharma idol became a blue Luan. Its body was charred black and flashed with green light. It twitched from time to time, and its originally clear and melodious cry turned into a whine. However, Lu Ping could sense that the pure yang qi contained within the body of the blue Luan had been completely activated. The blue Luan Dharma power seemed to be in a sorry state, but in fact, it was nurturing a huge amount of vitality. Moreover, the eyes of this pitch-black blue Luan Dharma power were shining brighter and brighter, giving off a compelling spirituality. Rumble! A waterfall of azure lightning descended. This was only the 7th tribulation lightning, but its power had already far surpassed the last tribulation lightning that the numinous treasure would have endured. The Seven Treasures Thunder Calabash rose from the top of Lu Ping's head, and a part of the thunder waterfall flowed towards the Seven Treasures Thunder Calabash. The azure Luan projection spread its wings and raised its neck, flapping its pitch-black feathers that were tinged with azure light. Countless feathers weaved together to form a shield in the air, blocking the descending green lightning. In just a short moment, the feather shield dissipated. However, before the green lightning could continue to descend, another feather shield appeared to block it. After this repeated several times, the green lightning had been weakened to the extreme, and the azure Luan Dharma power was finally unable to block it in time. It simply opened its mouth and swallowed the entire lightning. Jiang Tianlin Laozu's face alternated between green and red. In the end, the green qi rose, and his entire face quickly returned to normal. The azure Luan Dharma power began to shrink, but the Dharma power itself seemed to become more and more condensed. The 7th tribulation lightning had been completely blocked by Jiang Tianlin Laozu. At this time, Lu Ping had also used the Seven Treasures Thunder Calabash to refine a portion of the lightning. Suddenly, there were 8 more runes in the Thunder Calabash. increasing the total number of runes to 13. At this time, Jiang Tianlin Laozu had refined the pure yang qi brought by the Dharma power soul in his body, and a thick layer of mysterious and violent pure yang qi had accumulated around his body. At this time, Lu Ping did not dare to guide the pure yang qi, because this would attract all the pure yang qi around Jiang Tianlin towards Lu Ping. Only when Jiang Tianlin Laozu completely passed the tribulation lightning and began to absorb the pure yang qi around his body, all the pure yang qi around his body would begin to rush towards Jiang Tianlin Laozu. At this time, if Lu Ping guided the pure yang qi, it would not attract too much pure yang qi. Otherwise, with Lu Ping's current situation, too much pure yang qi would still ignite Lu Ping. After the 8th tribulation lightning, the 7 treasures thunder calabash condensed another 10 runes, and the total number of runes had reached 23. Although Jiang Tianlin Laozu was still calm, Lu Ping could see that his face had a trace of captivating redness. Obviously, his internal organs had been injured, and his clothes had become messy. He no longer had the elegant and carefree feeling that he had before. However, although the Green Phoenix Dharma power looked extremely pitiful, it still maintained its vitality, as if it was ready to counterattack at any time. At this time, Lu Ping already knew that even without the help of the 7 treasures thunder calabash, Tianlin Laozu would definitely pass the tribulation lightning and reach the mid-Dharma stage. However, Lu Ping naturally would not let go of such an opportunity. After all, he wanted to see if the last tribulation lightning would be able to gather all 36 runes of the 7 treasures thunder calabash and form a complete soul cultivation restriction. The green thunderclouds were already shrinking, but the center of the thunderclouds was getting brighter and brighter. Rays of light did not leak out from the thunderclouds, but it only made the thunderclouds look even more frightening. At this time, the Green Phoenix Dharma power had already condensed to the size of 3 feet. It circled around Tianlin Laozu's shoulder and immediately rose into the air, as if it had borrowed enough strength to soar into the sky. It actually rushed directly towards the thunderclouds, which had shrunk to only a third of its original size. Under the perception of Lu Ping's divine will, the Dharma power that had always been hidden within the Dharma power, but had never been activated, suddenly burst forth. The originally charred and twisted Dharma power began to shine with a green light, and the feathers that had fallen off began to regenerate. Its shrunken body began to expand again, and its originally hoarse chirping once again became bright green. The green thunderclouds seemed to be infuriated by Jiang Tianlin Laozu's provocative attack. The thunderclouds that had originally shrunk and collapsed twisted again, like a towel that had been forcefully twisted and squeezed dry. All of the water within the towel flowed out of the towel. However, the water that flowed out did not fall to the ground. Instead, it condensed into a large bubble at the bottom of the thunderclouds. Inside the bubble, there was only the flickering of green lightning. It seemed as if the bubble would explode with the slightest touch, and the condensed tribulation lightning inside would pour down and completely extinguish the cultivator undergoing the tribulation. Another clear chirping sound could be heard. Jiang Tianlin Laozu looked up at the huge ball of lightning. The Green Phoenix Dharma power did not hesitate at all, and it continued to rise. At this moment, the thunderclouds had almost reached their limit. The ball of lightning hanging below the thunderclouds finally overwhelmed the thunderclouds, and it completely exploded. Green lightning poured down like a torrential downpour. Every drop of tribulation lightning that fell on the Dharma power would explode. The Green Phoenix Dharma power, which had originally grown to 30 feet in size, was immediately riddled with holes. This caused the Dharma power to no longer be able to ascend. Ancestor Jiang Tianlin's mouth was already overflowing with blood, but his expression didn't change in the slightest. He just stretched out his finger and pointed at the Dharma idol in the sky. Another cyan light radiated from the cyan Wan's body, and the entire Dharma idol began to continuously recover from its heavy injuries. The cyan Wan was still stubbornly ascending into the sky. The 7 treasures thunder calabash had already flown above Lu Ping's head, and it slowly approached the thunderclouds. It continuously absorbed the green lightning raindrops that fell on the green phoenix into the calabash, trying to minimize the impact of the tribulation lightning on the Green Phoenix Dharma power. Lu Ping looked up into the sky. At this time, the thunderclouds had already dissipated rapidly, leaving only the huge ball of lightning hanging in the sky. However, it seemed to have shrunk by more than half. Jiang Tianlin Laozu suddenly rose into the sky, and his entire body entered the Dharma power. The entire green phoenix Dharma power suddenly shone with green light, and the damage that the lightning raindrops could do to the Dharma power was immediately reduced. Lu Ping was startled. This method was familiar to him. Back then, celestial phenomenon Laozu had fused his body with the Dharma power to resist the lightning tribulation together. This way, the Dharma power would be greatly strengthened. However, the danger was also great. If the cultivator's body was not strong enough, it was very likely that before the Dharma power collapsed, the body would first be unable to withstand the lightning tribulation, and it would become the direct cause of failure. However, Lu Ping naturally did not doubt the strength of Tianlin Laozu's body. As a top cultivator among the second-generation cultivators of Jinling, even if he did not have any fortuitous encounters, how could Jinling not provide him with some elixirs to strengthen his body? Sure enough, after becoming one with its physical body, the green phoenix Dharma form stared at the lightning flowing in reverse and went straight to the floating ball of lightning that was only a third of its original size. It first pecked through the ball of lightning, then tore it apart with its claws. Then, without waiting for the green tribulation lightning inside to wreak havoc, it flapped its wings and fanned the green lightning that was striking at the Dharma form. The ninth lightning tribulation disappeared like smoke in thin air. The green phoenix Dharma power was still soaring in the sky. Although the amount of pure yang qi surrounding the Dharma power was not as much as the amount of pure yang qi that Tianlin Laozu had undergone during his second lightning tribulation, it was still a third of the amount. The green phoenix Dharma power opened its mouth and inhaled. The pure yang qi in the surroundings began to gather towards the Dharma power. Lu Ping took this opportunity to pull a strand of pure yang qi over. Although this strand of pure yang qi could not be compared to the strand of pure yang qi that Laozu had encountered during his tribulation, it was still much richer than the strand of pure yang qi that he had obtained from the spirit treasure wood. This time, the Thunder Seven Treasures calabash did not hold back. After being refined by Lu Ping, it first snatched a third of the Thunder Seven Treasures calabash. At this time, the Thunder Seven Treasures calabash had completely condensed the last 13 talisman patterns in the last lightning tribulation. The 36 talisman patterns were linked together to form a complete spirit-nurturing treasure. The Thunder Seven Treasures calabash had completely stepped into the threshold of a spirit-nurturing treasure. As for the remaining two-thirds of pure yang qi, half of it was absorbed by the golden core, while the remaining one-third fell into the 13 spirit-nurturing treasures in Lu Ping's natal array formation. Tianlin Laozu's fleshly body had already descended from the sky. As the green phoenix Dharma power continued to absorb pure yang qi, a silver light fell onto Tianlin Laozu's body. Heavenly flower dew. This was one of the essences of this world. It could be seen as a reward for a cultivator who had successfully passed their tribulation. It could rapidly heal the injuries of the cultivator and also stabilize the cultivator who had just broken through. Lu Ping had already seen many of these treasures during his tribulation with celestial phenomenon Laozu. However, this time, Lu Ping did not rush forward to absorb it. Instead, he waited for Jiang Tianlin Laozu's signal and said, "Hurry up and absorb it. The heavenly flower dew will not be as abundant as it was during the second lightning tribulation. It will dissipate very quickly." Only then did Lu Ping step forward to absorb it. Chapter 887. Although Jiang Tianlin Laozu had already heard from Tian Xiang Laozu that Lu Ping was absorbing the heaven flower dew at an extremely fast rate, when he saw Lu Ping's speed with his own eyes, Jiang Tianlin Laozu still felt a sense of urgency. It was as if the two of them were competing for these treasures. The heaven flower dew only flickered for a few minutes before disappearing. Even so, Lu Ping had already sensed that he was very close to the peak of the 9th level of the forging core realm and smelting the third type of heaven and earth spirit item. It was time for him to isolate himself and break through. Lu Ping saw Tianlin Laozu descend from the sky and smiled. "Congratulations, Uncle Master, on passing the lightning tribulation and becoming a mid-Dharma adept." I believe the sect is already prepared to celebrate with you. Tianlin Laozu smiled and shook his head. This time, only the first-generation Laozu and your sect leader know that you have passed the lightning tribulation. No one else knows, so you don't have to say anything more. Lu Ping's mind raced. His sect wanted to hide the mid-Dharma adept Tianlin Laozu. Could it be that they were planning something? However, Lu Ping still asked, there should be many people in the North Sea who know that Uncle Master is about to pass the lightning tribulation and become a mid-Dharma adept. After all, when you were at the Yingtian temple, those who knew that Uncle Master had obtained the Dharma soul were all present. Tianlin Laozu did not explain the reason to Lu Ping. He only said, let's hide it for now. Although Lu Ping did not know what his sect was planning from Tianlin Laozu, the fact that they still wanted to hide it under such circumstances meant that it would not be long before it happened. Furthermore, the huge difference between Tianlin Laozu's early and mid-Dharma adepts was enough to change the situation in the North Sea. The Dharma power above Tianlin Laozu's head had already been withdrawn. After Lu Ping returned Tianlin Laozu's storage instrument, he saw Tianlin Laozu take out a jade bottle and place his right index finger on the mouth of the bottle. Under Lu Ping's shocked gaze, drops of green lightning began to form on his fingertip and fall into the bottle. Lightning tribulation water. Lu Ping exclaimed. Tianlin Laozu threw the jade bottle into Lu Ping's hands and said, I heard that you have been collecting this. These 5 drops of lightning tribulation water were formed by the old man during his tribulation this time. If not for the Dharma Power Soul and your 7 treasures Thunder Calabash, even if he managed to survive this tribulation, he would not have been able to condense 5 drops of lightning tribulation water. Take this as a reward from the sect for all these years. Tian Shui Laozu had said this before. Lu Ping looked at Tianlin Laozu strangely, but Tianlin Laozu continued, Uncle Master Tian Xiang seems to have a few drops of lightning tribulation water. You should go take a look. Besides, your master seems to be able to find some of the treasures left behind by our seniors in the sect's treasury. You should go take a look as well. This can be considered as the sect doing its best to help you condense your golden elixir. Lu Ping had just returned to Tianling Mountain and was about to pay a visit to Tianling Laozu in the Hall of Repetitive Beauty when he coincidentally saw Shi Xianling walking towards him. Lu Ping stopped and smiled, Senior Sister Xianling, it's been several decades. Shi Xianling was stunned when she heard that. She turned around and saw that it was Lu Ping. She smiled and said, So it's you. What a coincidence, I was just about to look for you. Lu Ping looked at Shi Xianling in astonishment and said, I heard that Senior Sister has been guarding Universal Island with Uncle Master Tian Kong. It's rare for you to return to Tianling Mountain. Does Uncle Master Tian Kong have any instructions for you? Shi Xianling shook her head and said, This time, I'm just an errand boy. I followed Grandfather back. Just now, Grandfather and Uncle Master Tian Jiang went to see Uncle Master Tian Xiang together. I was sent by Grandfather to give this to you. Shi Xianling took out a jade bottle with a spirit sealing talisman stuck on it and tossed it to Lu Ping. Lu Ping caught it and could more or less guess what was inside, but he still asked with a smile, if it's something that Uncle Master Tian Kong rewarded, then it must be something extraordinary. Does Senior Sister know what's inside? Shi Xianling shook her head and said, I've asked Grandfather, but he didn't tell me, so it's better if you don't open it in front of me. Lu Ping put the jade bottle away and asked with a smile, Why did Uncle Master Tian Kong return to Tianling Mountain this time? Shi Xianling shook her head and said, I don't know. How would I know? It's probably because of what happened outside Universe Island. It's getting more and more chaotic lately. Who knows when the humans and demons will start fighting? Lu Ping recalled how Tianlin Laozu and Lu Ping hurriedly parted ways after returning to Tianling Mountain. They seemed to be heading towards Tian Xiang Laozu's cave. Lu Ping guessed that the great ancestors must be discussing something important, and his teacher wouldn't be in the Hall of Chonghua right now. So, he turned around and walked towards the Hall of Smithing. Just as Lu Ping entered the refining hall, he heard Taoist Xianfang's voice, Uncle Master Enigma Flame, Senior Brother Xianlian, what do you think of Brother Yen Shan's stone furnace? Lu Ping turned around and saw Enlightened Master Xianfang and Enlightened Master Li Yenshan standing before Enlightened Master Li Yenshan's dilapidated cauldron. On the other side of the cauldron, enlightened Master Enigma Flame and Chen Lian were carefully examining the cauldron. Seeing Lu Ping coming, Taoist Xian Fang and Li Yenshan turned around. Li Yenshan respectfully greeted Lu Ping. Lu Ping quickly stepped aside. "Brother Yenshan, what are you doing? You and junior brother Xian Fang are of the same generation. We only need to address each other as brothers. If you continue to be so courteous, we might as well be strangers from now on." Having said that, Lu Ping greeted Taoist Enigma Flame, then asked, "Uncle Master, what do you think of this furnace?" Sage Enigma Flame shook his head and said, "A pity, a high-grade pill furnace. How could it be damaged to such an extent? Judging by the cracks, it is clear that the pill furnace had exploded during the pill concoction process. Not to mention, it has happened more than once. Don't you alchemists prefer to abandon the spiritual herbs, wasting all your previous efforts, rather than allow the pill furnace to suffer any damage?" Yen Shan Taoist said awkwardly, "When Junior obtained this cauldron, it was already quite shabby. Clearly, it had exploded more than once. 20 years ago, Junior first tried to refine a core forging stage medicinal pill. In order to succeed, Junior had no choice but to forcibly condense the pill. Unexpectedly, it still didn't succeed. In the end, it caused the cauldron to explode. But that was the only time Junior experienced a cauldron explosion." Lu Ping watched Taoist Yen Shan's awkward expression. Taoist Xian Fang didn't know how to explain before a senior like Taoist Enigma Flame, so he said with a smile, "It is hard to avoid accidents during the refining process. Sometimes there is no way to stop it. Sometimes there is no warning before the furnace explodes. These are unavoidable." Taoist Enigma Flame snorted, then said no more. Yen Shan Enlightened Master looked at Lu Ping with gratitude. Chen Lian looked up from the side and said, "It's not that the cauldron can't be repaired, but the price is too high." Hearing that, Taoist Yen Shan's eyes lit up and he hastily said, "Grandmaster Xian Lian, do you have any methods? What do we need to repair it?" Taoist Enigma Flame believed that the reason for this high-grade furnace's current state was because the alchemist did not cherish it and used it without restraint. Moreover, after obtaining the furnace, Taoist Li Yenshan still tried to forcefully condense the pill in order to improve his alchemy master rank. This resulted in another furnace explosion, leaving the furnace on the brink of destruction. Thus, Taoist Yenshan was not fond of Taoist Li Yenshan's carelessness. Although Lu Ping could understand Taoist Enigma Flame's love for magic artifacts, he also knew that Grandmaster Li Yenshan was a loose cultivator. 20 years ago, before he became an alchemy grandmaster, Grandmaster Li Yenshan had not been able to gather enough pills for the core forging stage. Now that one furnace was ruined, who knows how long it would take for him to gather more pills. Thus, when the furnace was on the verge of exploding, Taoist Yen Shan chose to forcefully condense the pill, hoping to avoid the explosion. Unexpectedly, he failed. Sage Enigma Flame said coldly, "It is possible to repair it. However, the price required to repair it would be enough to refine out most of a high-grade pill furnace. If it were me, I would rather just refine out a new high-grade pill furnace." "That's right." Lu Ping turned to look at Xian Lian, who was beside him. Xian Lian nodded slightly, clearly agreeing with Taoist Enigma Flame's words. Yen Mountain Taoist's face was filled with disappointment. It could be said that he obtained this high-ranked cauldron by chance. If he wanted to refine another one, even with his status as an alchemy grandmaster, who knew how long it would take for him to accumulate the wealth he needed to do so? Taoist Xian Fang said with some hesitation, "Brother Yen Shan, you and I have become close friends these days. There are some things that Brother Yen Shan has already thought through. But I ask Brother Yen Shan to not misunderstand. I have no intention of using this opportunity to blackmail you." Li Yen Shan sighed. "Brother Xian Fang, please speak." Taoist Xian Fang said, "Brother Yen Shan, have you ever considered joining our sect?" Seeing Li Yen Shan's shocked expression, Taoist Xian Fang continued, "With Brother Yen Shan's alchemy skills, as long as you join our sect, you will at the very least be an outer sect elder. According to our sect's rules, you will have the right to control a high-grade furnace." Chen Lian and Lu Ping exchanged glances, no longer saying anything. Even Sage Enigma Flame, who was beside them, turned to look at Sage Xianfang. He too fell silent. When he turned to look at Sage Li Yenshan, his expression had softened considerably. In truth, these days, Taoist Xianfang had deliberately befriended him. Apart from the fact that they appreciated each other's talents, Li Yenshan could more or less guess what Taoist Xianfang was thinking. Taoist Xianfang saw Li Yenshan's expression change, as if the bargaining chip wasn't enough. Taoist Xianfang continued, moreover, there is also apprentice niece Pei Yan. As long as brother Yenshan becomes our sect's outer sect elder, apprentice niece Pei Yan will have the qualifications to become our sect's elite disciple. With apprentice niece Pei Yan's talent in alchemy, with our sect's support and Grandmaster Laozu's guidance, in the future, even surpassing you and I will not be a problem. Initially, Reverend Xianfang thought that these words would be the last straw for Reverend Li Yenshan to join Zhenling's sect. Unexpectedly, when Reverend Li Yenshan heard that Pei Yener could become an official disciple of Zhenling's sect, he seemed to have thought of something and said, "Thank you for your kind offer, Brother Xianfang. However, my disciple and I are used to being undisciplined. I'm afraid there will be many inconveniences in the future." These words were a disguised refusal. This left Taoist Xianfang, who originally thought that the matter was in the bag, shocked. Taoist Enigma Flame and Chen Lian were also surprised. Lu Ping, on the other hand, was stunned. Chapter 888. Li Yenshan's refusal caught Taoist Xianfang by surprise. Taoist Xianfang was puzzled. Brother Yenshan, our sect does not place too many restrictions on the outer sect elders. Apart from a few fixed pill refining missions, Brother Yenshan can use your time as you wish. Moreover, our sect will also open a portion of the Pill Pavilion's collection for Brother Yenshan. With the support of a high-grade pill furnace, we can even discuss alchemy together. Why would Brother Yenshan refuse such a good thing? Li Yenshan's eyes flashed with yearning, but he still smiled bitterly. Brother Xianfang, everyone has their own aspirations. This can't be forced. Lu Ping suddenly interrupted. Is it because of junior niece Pei Yan? Taoist Xianfang and the rest looked at Li Yenshan in confusion, only to see his face change. Taoist Xianfang was baffled. That doesn't make sense. With junior niece Pei Yan's talent in alchemy, our sect will definitely nurture her. Without waiting for Li Yenshan to speak, Lu Ping smiled. Don't worry. What you're worried about was because our sect was weak in the past. We had no choice but to face the combined forces of the North Sea sections. Moreover, if we really wanted to do that, how could we let that person go? Do you think there's anyone left in the North Sea who dares to suppress us? Although enlightened Master Xianfang and the others were puzzled by Li Yenshan's words, they could see the struggle that occasionally flashed across enlightened Master Li Yenshan's face. It was clear that Lu Ping really did know something. But in their hearts, they couldn't help but wonder if this little girl Pei Yener was related to the sect, or was she the descendant of a cultivator who had a grudge against the sect? On the other hand, Xian Lian seemed to have guessed what Lu Ping was talking about. He looked at enlightened Master Li Yenshan in surprise. He didn't expect enlightened Master Li Yenshan to accept a girl like Pei Yener as his disciple. Before this, Chen Lian only had the thought of recruiting talents when enlightened Master Li Yenshan joined Zhenling's sect. But now, his sense of recognition towards enlightened Master Li Yenshan had increased significantly. Lu Ping saw that Li Yenshan was actually not opposed to joining the Zhenling. He was even a little happy. However, for his disciple, he was actually willing to give up the opportunity to join the Zhenling, who said that cultivators were selfish and indifferent. Lu Ping thought about it and continued, since you care so much about Pei Yan, I'm sure you don't want her to become an independent cultivator and follow your old path. But if you want her to go further, I don't know which sect in the North Sea can provide a better platform for Pei Yan than Zhenling. Perfected Li Yenshan rejected Perfected Xianfang's invitation because of Pei Yener, but Lu Ping also wanted Perfected Li Yenshan to join Zhenling because of Pei Yener. In the end, Perfected Li Yenshan was moved by Lu Ping's words and said, since Perfected Xianping has already made such a promise, if I still refuse, it would seem like I don't know how to appreciate favors. I am willing to become an outer sect elder of your sect, But although perfected Xianping already knows the identity of my disciple, please continue to keep it a secret. Lu Ping nodded with a smile. Of course. Taoist Xianfang was the happiest about Yan Shan joining Jinling's outer sect. He suddenly recalled something and said with a smile, Brother Yan Shan, now that you've joined our sect, it's like killing two birds with one stone. Taoist Xianfang's words not only piqued Yan Shan's interest, but also Lu Ping's group. Taoist Xianfang said with a smile, since Brother Yan Shan has become our sect's outer sect elder, then martial niece Pei Yan is our sect's official elite disciple. Everyone, don't forget that martial niece Pei Yan is also a bona fide grandmaster alchemist. You too, master and disciple, will be in charge of 2 of our sect's high-grade alchemy furnaces. Isn't this killing 2 birds with 1 stone? Lu Ping and the others burst into laughter when they heard that. Taoist Enigma Flame suddenly smiled awkwardly. I'm afraid martial niece Pei Yan will have to wait for some time. Taoist Xianfang was taken aback, then asked, Martial uncle, W.I.? Sage Enigma Flame gave Sage Yen Mountain an awkward smile and said, in recent years, our sect has gained 2 high-grade alchemy furnaces. One is a relic left behind by our predecessors while exploring some ruins. As for the other, it took the artifact crafting hall over a year to gather spiritual materials and refine it. But after the Pill Pavilion's examination, Martial Niece Lu's disciple, Tian Ziyue, became an alchemy grandmaster and, as usual, took control of one of the furnaces. As for the remaining one, it will naturally be left to Martial Niece Yen. Then I'm afraid Miss Pei Yan will have to wait for some time. Taoist Yan Shan hastily waved his hand. Martial Uncle Enigma Flame, there is no need for this. A high-grade alchemy furnace is more than enough for Disciple and Yen to refine pills. Moreover, although this furnace is beyond repair, it can still be used for a few more years. At the very least, 2 years is enough for Yen to hone her alchemy skills. Taoist Enigma Flame pondered. In these years, our sect has accumulated a batch of spiritual materials for refining a high-grade alchemy furnace. But the refining hall's focus has not been on refining alchemy furnaces. Moreover, the spiritual materials needed to refine a high-grade alchemy furnace are still lacking. But if Martial Niece Yen is willing to hand over this furnace to the refining hall, we can refine a new batch of spiritual materials. And if we can refine a few of the key ingredients, we can immediately start refining a new pill furnace. But even so, Martial Niece Yen will have to wait 2 to 3 years. After all, refining an alchemy furnace is not easy. It requires meticulous carving. Taoist Yan Shan said, Martial Uncle Enigma Flame, feel free to take it. Martial Niece can wait 2 to 3 years. Sage Enigma Flame nodded his head and said, very well. These days, the artifact refiners in the artifact forging hall will gradually be able to free up their time. They can assist this old man in the preparation work for the pill furnace. Once this old man has broken down this rolling stone furnace, I will see how many useful items are left. Taoist Xianfang and Taoist Yan Shan were about to bid farewell when they saw a pill furnace appear in Lu Ping's hand. If they weren't Grandmaster alchemists, then they were Grandmaster artificers. With a glance, they could tell this was a genuine high-grade alchemy furnace. Lu Ping tossed the cauldron to Yan Shan enlightened, Brother Yan Shan, I found this cauldron during my travels in the Middle Lands. Before Martial Uncle Xuanhua can refine a high-grade cauldron, you should give it to Martial Niece Pei Yan. Taoist Li Yan Shan hastily declined, how can this be? How can this be? Master and disciple have joined the Jinling sect, and we are already satisfied with an intact high-grade alchemy furnace. What's more, Martial Uncle Enigma Flame will finish refining it in 2 to 3 years. This furnace belongs to senior apprentice brother Xianping. Yenda will never accept it. Lu Ping smiled, just give it to Martial Niece Pei Yan first. Once Martial Uncle Enigma Flame finishes refining it, you can return it to me. Martial Niece Yen has just become an Grandmaster alchemist, and her alchemy skills are advancing by leaps and bounds. It's better for her to control a pill furnace herself. Only then can we not delay each other. This pill furnace was obtained by Lu Ping when he killed the Abundant River sect's Grandmaster Enlightened Kai in the Abundant River mountain range. It had always been in Lu Ping's storage magic artifact, never to be used. Lu Ping originally planned to give this pill furnace as a reward to the first in the Alchemy Pavilion's examination. But when he saw that Tian Ziyue had a chance of getting first and becoming an alchemy grandmaster, he changed his mind. He purposely wanted to annoy the Alchemy Pavilion, wanting to vent his resentment over the past matter. Just as enlightened Yan Shan was about to decline, Chen Lian said with a smile, "Brother Yan Shan, just take it. He has no use for this pill furnace, so why not give it to someone who needs it first? It's not like he can't return it. Moreover, he has always been rich and overbearing. Who knows if he has other pill furnaces besides the Na Chuan cauldron? Just use it." Lu Ping had a smile on his face, but he was cursing inwardly. This Xian Lian is right. He does have a pill furnace, and it's a peak-grade pill furnace, the Soaring Rainbow Cauldron. It was something he got from Clearstream Laozu's Clearstream Cauldron in the Heartland's Clearstream Cauldron. This was a pill furnace that, after being upgraded, had a chance of condensing the precious cauldron's precious restriction, becoming a magic treasure. After enlightened Master Xian Fang and enlightened Yan Shan left, Taoist Enigma Flame knew that Lu Ping came to the refining hall to find Chen Lian. Thus, he took the worn-out stone furnace and left, leaving only Chen Lian and Lu Ping. Lu Ping handed Landslide, Water-Controlling Flag, Psychic Jade Pendant, Netherwater Sword, and several jade slips to Chen Lian. "I might have to go into secluded cultivation for a while. Take a look and see if you can upgrade these items." The jade slips contain several spirit-nurturing restrictions I've collected in the past few years. Take a look and see if you can raise your refining skills to the Grandmaster realm. As for the materials you need, you'll have to figure it out yourself. Oh, Debao seems to be holding some underground trade fair on Huangli Island. You might as well go and see if you can pick up any leftovers. Chen Lian looked at the 4 treasures. Seeing that Lu Ping was about to leave, he hastily said, "I'm also going into secluded cultivation. I'm afraid I won't have the time." Lu Ping looked at Chen Lian in shock. "So fast? Didn't you say you just entered the 6th stage of core forging not long ago? But don't worry, I'll be in secluded cultivation for a long time. Once you come out, your chances of success will be even higher." Chen Lian was shocked. "Why are you going into seclusion at this time? The situation outside of Universe Island has been tense lately. Aren't you going to join in the fun? Didn't the sect give you a mission?" With his back to Chen Lian, Lu Ping walked out while waving his hand. "I won't participate in this." After leaving the refining hall, Lu Ping pondered for a moment, then headed for the Hall of Overwhelming Beauty. Lu Tianling Laozu seemed to have just returned from Celestial Phenomenon Laozu's cave. Seeing Lu Ping, he said with a smile, "I was just about to find someone to call you. This time, the sect plans to gather a portion of lightning tribulation water for you. I presume you already know?" Chapter 889. Lu Ping smiled and said, "Martial Uncle Tian Lin has already mentioned it to Disciple. Just now, Martial Uncle Tian Kong asked Senior Sister Xianling to deliver 2 drops of Lightning Tribulation Elixir to Disciple. In addition to the Lightning Tribulation Elixir given to Disciple by Martial Uncle Tian Shui and Martial Uncle Tian Lin, I now have 11 drops." Tian Ling Laozu nodded and said, "This can be considered as a reward for your contributions to the sect over the years. At the same time, I also hope that a cultivator who has condensed a 9th grade golden core will appear in our sect. Ever since Tai Shin Laozu condensed a 9th grade golden core and successfully transformed it into a true spirit over 6,000 years ago, it has been several thousand years since anyone in our sect was able to condense a 9th grade golden core again. Even your martial uncle Tian Lin was a step behind back then." Lu Ping said solemnly, "Disciple will do his best." Tian Ling Laozu took out 2 jade bottles with spirit sealing talismans stuck on them and said, "Of these 2 jade bottles, one was given to me by martial uncle Tian Xiang just now. It contains the lightning tribulation elixir condensed by martial uncle Tian Xiang after crossing 2 lightning tribulations. There are 6 drops in total. The other bottle is from our sect's storage. It was left behind by our sect's senior cultivator, and there are 7 drops in total. In addition to the ones you obtained before, you can make a portion of lightning tribulation elixir. Go prepare well. Lu Ping didn't believe that the sect only had 7 drops of lightning tribulation elixir. It would be too much of a coincidence to make a portion of lightning tribulation elixir. Obviously, Jinling still had some left over, but it shouldn't be too much. Lu Ping took the 2 jade bottles and thought for a moment before asking, "Teacher, don't you need disciple to participate in the matters outside of Universal Island?" Lao Zu waved his hand and said, "I'm afraid that this conflict won't be resolved in a short period of time. If the conflict still hasn't ended after you come out of seclusion, you might as well come and join in." Lu Ping was startled and said, "Isn't it because of the legacy of Canghai Lao Zu? Is that legacy enough for the North Sea cultivators to explore for several years?" Tianling Lao Zu said, "Previously, the demon clan occupied that place. In the cultivation world of the North Sea, legend has it that Lao Zu Canghai's legacy is located there, but it is only a legend. Looking at the recent actions of the Canghai sect, this legacy is most likely true." Tianling Lao Zu paused and then said, "It seems that the time for the relic to be unearthed has not yet come. The demon clan just wanted to open it in advance after discovering some clues." However, without the thin water-flowing sword left by Canghai Lao Zu, the demon clan could be sure that the relic was in that area, but they could not find its specific location. The Canghai sect seems to only have one thin water-flowing sword, but they have not been able to find it all these years. The demon clan's actions have made the Canghai sect more and more certain that the long water-flowing sword has already been obtained by the demon clan, so the conflict between the two sides has become more and more intense in recent years. It seems that a full-scale confrontation between the humans and the demon clan in the North Sea is just around the corner. Lu Ping shook his head and said, "This is not a good thing. The calamity of Mara has already broken out everywhere in the cultivation world. Although it has not reached its peak, if it suddenly breaks out during a large-scale conflict between the humans and the demon clan, wouldn't the North Sea cultivation world be in trouble? There will not be a large-scale conflict. After all, it is only for a relic. However, there will inevitably be a fight, and casualties are inevitable. Moreover, from the current situation in the North Sea, as well as the information collected from the East Sea and the Central Plains, the outbreak of the calamity of Mara in the North Sea seems to be a little delayed. This is probably the reason why the humans and demons are still thinking of fighting at this time." Lu Ping had obtained a lot of information from his teacher. After leaving the palace of Zhonghua, he thought that this might really be a good time for him to go to that place to cultivate in seclusion. Taking advantage of the fact that the attention of the humans and demons in the North Sea was now focused on the outside of Huanyu Island, he would first explore that place. It had been more than 100 years since he obtained that mysterious purple jade slip. Now, Lu Ping's strength had finally reached the minimum requirement in the jade slip. He had also gained a deep understanding of the inheritance in the jade slip. Now was the time to explore that place. If he could really enter that place, it would be a seclusion place where he, the only human immortal, would be able to do. With that thought in mind, Lu Ping no longer hesitated. He took out a magic sword and said something, then tossed it into the sky. The magic sword flew towards the Heaven Spirit Hall. Jinling had specially set up a place to transmit magic swords and talismans. This magic sword for Hu Lily would be brought to Di Kuan Island by the cultivators of the Heaven Spirit Hall, then it would automatically fly towards Huangli Island. Lu Ping left Heaven Spirit Mountain and flew in the southwest direction. When he arrived at his destination, he happened to be directly west of Huanyu Island. This was a sea. The color of the seawater clearly indicated the depth of the sea. It could be described as unfathomably deep. There were only a few familiar coral islands in the distance that one could set foot on. In the blink of an eye, more than 100 years had passed. Back then, he was still a naive early blood condensation cultivator. When he came here, he didn't notice anything. Now, when Lu Ping looked at this place again, he could clearly sense the abnormality of the surrounding sea. Logically speaking, since there were coral islands around, the sea should not be too deep. In reality, however, there was a huge underwater abyss in the middle of these sparse coral islands. Lu Ping's divine sense spread out. When he sensed that there was no one within a radius of more than 100 miles, there was a flash of light and he dove into the deep sea. The waterproof moon pearl floated above Lu Ping's head. The surrounding seawater was automatically pushed away, forming a shield with a radius of 3 meters. The shield isolated the pressure of the surrounding seawater. Lu Ping quickly dove into the pitch-black bottom of the sea. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ping had already dove more than 10,000 meters into the sea. However, his surroundings were still pitch-black, and the bottom of the sea was still unfathomable. The depth of this underwater abyss was far deeper than Sage Lake. A green light flashed in Lu Ping's eyes as he tried his best to look into the depths of the sea below him. At the same time, he tried to use his divine sense to break through the strong water pressure and spread out. However, in the end, the range he could cover was only 1% of what Lu Ping's divine sense could cover. Lu Ping continued to rapidly descend into the sea. A strange current suddenly appeared in the surrounding seawater. Lu Ping's expression did not change. As far as his eyes could see, he saw a huge strange fish suddenly rush out of the dark seawater beneath his feet. It opened its huge mouth that was filled with strange teeth and went against the current under Lu Ping's feet. From afar, it looked as if Lu Ping was about to fall into the strange fish's mouth. Lu Ping's 2 swords suddenly appeared beneath his feet. The 2 swords circled each other and slashed downwards, piercing through the strange fish's body through its mouth, creating a 5-foot-wide hole. Lu Ping did not stop for a moment. He went straight into the fish's mouth and passed through the big hole created by the long sword, continuing to head to the bottom of the sea. At the same time that the strange fish's body was pierced by Ren's autumn water sword, it continued to rush upwards, but its speed was getting slower and slower. Blood spread out, quickly dyeing the surrounding seawater red. As the bloody aura spread through the seawater, countless deep-sea creatures scuttled out of the pitch-black seawater and charged towards the corpse of the strange fish. In an instant, a chaotic battle broke out. When the chaotic battle ended, everything returned to normal. Around this stone platform, there was also a protective array formation that surrounded the entire stone platform. Looking at the glow of the array formation, it was obvious that this array formation was much stronger than the one that Lu Ping had passed through previously. Around this stone platform, especially on the wall of the abyss where the stone platform was, there was a huge array formation that surrounded the entire stone platform. The style of the array formation and the stone platform seemed to be incompatible. It was as if someone had forcibly embedded the array formation into the stone platform. This should be the large array formation that the Laozu of the various sects had set up to guide this stone platform. It was because of the existence of this large array formation that the North Sea cultivators were able to guide this stone platform to the surface of the sea every 500 years, when the large array formation was at its weakest. Then, the 200 early blood condensation disciples selected by the various sects would be transported through the array formation on the stone platform to the deepest part of the abyss, Fei Ling Mountain, which was submerged at the bottom of the abyss. Chapter 890. Lu Ping looked at the array formation that protected the entire stone platform, but he didn't try to break it. Although this array barrier was much tougher than the previous one, it wasn't too difficult for Lu Ping to break it. The difficult part was that the teleportation array on the stone platform was deliberately left behind by Fei Ling's sect. It could only allow early blood condensation cultivators to enter. It was originally a special passage for Fei Ling's sect to cultivate their disciples, but it later became the only passage for the sects to enter Fei Ling Mountain. The formation plate of this teleportation array was set up in a secret place in Fei Ling Mountain. Even though Lu Ping had the purple jade slip, he couldn't make any changes to this teleportation array from outside Fei Ling Mountain. Therefore, Lu Ping couldn't use this stone platform to teleport to Fei Ling Mountain. Lu Ping continued to dive deeper. When he reached a depth of 60,000 feet, 9 layers of protective aura burst out from his body in succession, expanding the water moon repelling pearl's protective aura that had shrunk to only 1 foot around his body and expanded it back to about 3 feet. At this time, the abyss was getting narrower and narrower. With the 3 pure eyes, Lu Ping could vaguely see the stone walls of the abyss several miles away. As he dived deeper, many arrays and restrictions began to appear. As Lu Ping dived deeper, the arrays and restrictions became denser and denser, making it more difficult to break them. If it weren't for Lu Ping's hundreds of years of preparation, and his mastery of the contents recorded in the purple jade slip, even if Lu Ping's true essence was strong and pure, it would have been exhausted long ago. In such a deep seabed abyss, the consumption of true essence in the body would increase exponentially with the use of each incantation. 4,000 years ago, after Fei Ling Mountain sank to the bottom of the sea, the North Sea sects Laozu teamed up and went deep into the abyss with a few formation masters. They wanted to find Fei Ling Mountain again, but the countless arrays and restrictions in the abyss exhausted their true essence. In the end, they had no choice but to retreat to the sea. In the end, it was only through the calculations of a few formation masters that they set up a traction formation on the stone platform. Every 500 years, when the formation was weakened, the blood condensation realm disciples from each sect would be able to enter Fei Ling Mountain through the stone platform in search of some superficial benefits. With the purple jade slip in hand, Lu Ping already knew how to break these arrays and restrictions like the back of his hand. He also had the support of his true essence, but now he still felt a little tired. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ping had already reached a depth of nearly 7,000 feet. Back then, when the North Sea Laozu teamed up to reach this point, only 5 mid-Dharma Laozu and 3 Dharma adepts were left. The rest of the Laozu had used up their true essence in the process of breaking the restrictions and resisting the water pressure. Moreover, this was not the only reason why the Laozu stopped. The more important reason was that these arrays and restrictions were left behind by the Fei Ling sect for thousands of years. After generations of cultivators constantly perfected or added new restrictions, these restrictions intertwined with each other, forming an endless forest of arrays that was connected to the spirit vein of Fei Ling Mountain. In this forest of arrays, unless one could completely cut off the spirit vein of Fei Ling Mountain in one fell swoop, these arrays and restrictions would slowly recover after a period of time, even if they were broken through various methods. This meant that even if the Dharma power Laozu forcefully broke through these arrays and reached the deepest part of the mountain, if he did not have any true essence left in his body, then unless he could break through to the destination in one go, he would still have to face the arrays and restrictions that had already recovered when he returned. Without enough true essence, even a Dharma adept could only wait for death. Lu Ping swallowed a vitality pill. Although Lu Ping still had more than half of his true essence left in his body, the deeper he went, the more true essence he used. Even though Lu Ping had the purple jade slip, he still had to be careful. At the depth of 80,000 feet, the remaining 5 mid-Dharma adepts stopped here, and the amount of true essence that Lu Ping used was equivalent to the total amount of true essence he had used up in the past 10,000 feet. Fortunately, the vitality pill that Lu Ping refined was made with the spirit peach as a medicinal catalyst, and its quality was extremely high. It was quite effective in restoring the true essence in the body, making up for a part of Lu Ping's true essence loss. At the depth of 90,000 feet, the bottom of the abyss could be seen clearly under the gaze of the 3 pure eyes. Lu Ping could even see Fei Ling Mountain below through the layers of arrays and restrictions at the bottom. In the past, 3 great adepts came here and saw that Fei Ling Mountain was right in front of them. However, because of the layers of protective arrays, they no longer had the energy to break it. In the end, it felt like it was far away. The 3 great adepts, Laozu, failed at the last step and returned with regret. Among the 3 great cultivator ancestors, one of them had expended a lot of energy in breaking the formations and restrictions. On the way back, he was blocked by the formations and restrictions that were gradually recovering. In the end, he had no choice but to use his origin true essence. However, in the end, because his origin true essence was exhausted and his body was damaged, he passed away in the Blue Sea sect not long after he finally escaped from the abyss at the bottom of the sea. After the destruction of the Flying Spirit sect, Xianling sect, Zhenling sect, and Songhai sect benefited the most among the sects in the North Sea. But because the ancestor died so quickly, Songhai sect didn't have time to digest these benefits, and the sect's strength was gradually caught up and surpassed by Xianling sect and Zhenling sect. The other two great adepts were also more or less affected by this trip to the abyss at the bottom of the sea. In the next 300 years, the two great adepts of Xianling and Zhenling sects also died one after another. The entire cultivation world of North Sea suddenly ushered in a period of no great adepts. This was also the reason why the entire cultivation world of North Sea, which was originally backward, even began to be called barren. In the next 4,000 years, no one in North Sea tried to open Fei Ling Mountain again, and the abyss at the bottom of the sea gradually began to be unknown. Only every 500 years, the late-stage core forging cultivators of various sects would gather to open the traction array and pull the teleportation stone platform to the sea. After Lu Ping reached the bottom of the abyss, he didn't immediately start to crack the island's protective array under his feet. Although the purple jade slip recorded the composition of the island's protective array and the method to crack it, it had been strengthened and condensed by dozens of generations of cultivators in Fei Ling Mountain for tens of thousands of years. Even if Lu Ping was proficient in the restriction inheritance of Fei Ling sect, he wouldn't be able to crack it from the outside without a few months of painstaking work. Lu Ping swallowed another spirit recovery pill, carefully savoring the process of the pill fusing into the blood in his abdomen and refining it into qi, and then walked to the stone wall on the left. Lu Ping fumbled along the stone wall, and occasionally made a gesture to hit on the stone wall. After a flash of light, layers of arrays and restrictions were revealed. Lu Ping looked disappointed and continued to fumble toward the stone wall behind him, continuing to make gestures to test something. It shouldn't be, it should be here. Lu Ping's voice kept muttering to himself, but he didn't make any gestures. At the same time, Lu Ping casually cast a hand seal on the stone wall that was also protected by the array formation. The array formation that was supposed to expand outwards to disintegrate the array formation's power suddenly sunk inwards and bounced outwards. Lu Ping's hand seal's power to disintegrate the array formation's power was even more thoroughly disintegrated. Lu Ping looked happy. It's here. Lu Ping took out a spirit sealing box from the storage magic tool. After thinking about it, he put the box back, and then his hands made 81 gestures in an instant, hitting the restriction on the stone wall. However, the restriction attached to the stone wall also caved in. Then, the dispelling power of these spells completely collapsed, and then it returned to its original state. The 81 hand gestures in an instant were the fastest speed that Lu Ping could do while ensuring that the power of each hand gesture was as strong as possible. However, the result made Lu Ping depressed. Fortunately, only the restriction-breaking spell in the purple jade slip could make a dent. After the dent appeared, the items in the spirit sealing box could be used. Otherwise, Lu Ping didn't believe that the Fa Xiang Laozu, who tried to reopen Fei Ling Mountain, would have fewer items than Lu Ping's spirit sealing box. The secret spell in the purple jade slip was only the key. If he wanted to open the lock, he had to have the strength to open the door. Otherwise, it would be useless. The restriction-breaking talisman in the spirit sealing box was the help for Lu Ping to open the door. Lu Ping took out a 5-color restriction-breaking talisman from the spirit sealing box. After thinking about it, he changed it to a 6-color restriction-breaking talisman. This was not the time to be distressed about these treasures. Lu Ping cast a Fei Ling sect's seal-breaking spell with his right hand, and the seal on the stone wall suddenly caved in. But before the seal could bounce back, a 6-colored seal-breaking charm appeared in his left hand and smashed onto the dented seal. 6 colorful lights shone on each other, tearing apart the layers of seals on the stone wall. Lu Ping narrowed his eyes and without hesitation he took out another 5-colored talisman from the spirit sealing box. He infused his quintessential energy into the talisman and activated it. Then he slapped it on the 6-colored talisman that was gradually melting away. The layers of restrictions finally cracked, and a crack that only allowed half a body to fit through completely opened up. Behind the crack was a narrow cave. Lu Ping leaned to the side and jumped into the crack without hesitation. The crack behind him immediately returned to its original state. Lu Ping bent his waist and walked all the way into the depths of the cave. After about 800 feet, Lu Ping's eyes lit up. A stone room with a radius of 100 feet appeared in front of Lu Ping. The stone walls were flashing with a strange light. It must be the light of the restrictions on the stone walls. In the center of the stone room, there was a small teleportation array surrounded by a layer of green and white formation. Lu Ping could even see the teleportation array disk in the center of the teleportation array. This was a secret teleportation array of Fei Ling sect. It was one of the escape routes that Fei Ling sect had prepared. Unfortunately, this escape route was only known to the 3 great adepts of Fei Ling sect. Before Fei Ling sect was destroyed, the 3 great adepts had passed the purple jade scroll to Fei Ling sect's 3rd-generation adept, Jiao Yuqiang. It was a pity that Jiao Yuqiang was besieged by several Dharma adepts. Although he managed to escape, he suffered an incurable injury and died in his own cave abode. This purple jade scroll ended up in the hands of Lu Ziping, who was only at the early blood condensation stage at that time. Lu Ping opened his right palm and a 7-colored talisman appeared in his hand. This time, Lu Ping did not even test it. He directly hit the 7-colored restriction breaking talisman on the teleportation array's protective shield. Chapter 891. This time, Lu Ping didn't even bother to probe. He directly slapped a 7-color restriction breaking talisman on the protective shield of the teleportation array. When he saw the teleportation array, Lu Ping no longer thought about whether it was too wasteful to use a 7-color restriction breaking talisman. After slapping such a priceless talisman on the protective shield, Lu Ping took out a 5-color restriction breaking talisman. He was ready to continue to use the restriction breaking talisman in his hand in case of emergency. Fortunately, in the midst of the rustling sound of snow, the colorful light of the protective shield of the teleportation array was completely annihilated and shattered. Before the protective shield of the teleportation array was restored, Lu Ping hurriedly stepped into the teleportation array. He threw a top-quality spirit stone into the center of the teleportation array and then embedded more than 10 top-quality spirit stones around the teleportation array. Seeing that the protective shield of the teleportation array had not been restored, Lu Ping's feet stomped and the teleportation array was activated. After a dazzling white light flashed, Lu Ping's figure disappeared from the teleportation array. When Lu Ping reappeared, his whole body was submerged in water. Lu Ping was shocked in his heart. How could he still be in the sea? But then he found that there was almost no strong force that could crush a person's body. At the same time, the water was not salty, but fresh water with a trace of sweetness and spiritual energy. Lu Ping opened his eyes and looked around. At this time, he found that Lu Ping was standing in a stone room submerged in water. On one side of the stone room, there was a narrow crack, and the starry light was penetrating through the crack. The rumbling sound of water coming from above gave Lu Ping a sense of déjà vu. Lu Ping moved his mind and the surrounding water suddenly surged. Lu Ping's figure was pushed by the water toward the crack in the stone room. When Lu Ping came out of the crack, he found that he was under a pool of water. Using the wave-treading art, Lu Ping rushed up from the bottom of the pool. After a while, a wave surged on the surface of the pool. Lu Ping stood on the wave and quickly spread his divine sense in all directions. So it was here. Lu Ping looked around at the environment that had changed a lot but was still very familiar. When he looked back, he saw that not far away was the foot of Failing Mountain. A layer of light curtain extended from the foot of the mountain, completely enveloping the entire majestic Failing Mountain. When Lu Ping and the others entered Failing Island all those years ago, they had gathered outside Failing Mountain's mountain guarding formation and waited for the right time to break the light screen of the mountain guarding formation together before entering Failing Mountain. But now, Lu Ping directly entered Failing Mountain's mountain guarding formation. It was just that when Lu Ping followed the meandering stream down from Failing Mountain, he carefully explored the pool under his feet with his divine sense, but he did not find any clues. Now, when Lu Ping penetrated the pool under his feet with his divine sense, he still could not find the crack in the stone room that was submerged by water. Because no one used it for cultivation, the spiritual qi that had accumulated for thousands of years had become extremely rich and pure. Lu Ping greedily breathed in the air that was full of spiritual qi. The blood in his body surged and roared. The spiritual qi that was originally consumed by breaking the restrictions along the way was quickly recovering. Lu Ping followed the route he took when he was still in the blood condensation realm. He walked along the stream, treading on the waves as he searched the surroundings with his divine sense. But before he reached the mountainside, Lu Ping had already discovered 4 or 5 hidden cave dwellings on Fei Ling Mountain. Judging from the protective array formation around the cave dwellings, these cave dwellings must have been built by core forging realm cultivators. However, Lu Ping was not in the mood to excavate these caves at this time. First, these caves might not be of interest to Lu Ping. Second, now only Lu Ping could enter Failing Mountain. At this time, the entire Failing Mountain could be said to belong to him alone. Naturally, he was not in a hurry to excavate the caves. When he reached the mountainside, Lu Ping couldn't help but stop stepping on the waves. A trace of surprise appeared on his face. After thinking for a moment, he found a few techniques to break the restrictions on the purple jade slip. He formed a hand seal and flicked it towards the riverbank. Originally, it looked like an ordinary riverbank. After Lu Ping made a few hand seals, the entire riverbank gradually began to emit a 5-colored light. When the light dissipated, a spirit herb garden about 10 meters long along the riverbank appeared in front of Lu Ping. Lu Ping was overjoyed when he saw the spirit herbs in the spirit herb garden. The spirit herbs here were all at least 3,000 years old, and they looked like they had reached a certain age. Not only that, there were no signs of damage in the surroundings at all. Lu Ping had never heard of any blood condensation realm cultivators being able to find 3,000-year-old spirit herbs in Failing Mountain every 500 years. It was obvious that there were 3,000-year-old spirit herbs planted in Failing Mountain. It was just that the protective formation protecting the 3,000-year-old spirit herbs was not something that blood condensation realm minor repairs could discover, let alone open. At the very least, when Lu Ping went upstream along this stream, he didn't discover that there was a spirit herb garden here that was specially used to plant 3,000-year-old spirit herbs. How many 3,000-year-old spirit herb gardens had been planted on Failing Mountain? This was a spirit vein that had once been reduced from a giant spirit vein to a large spirit vein, nourishing these undiscovered spirit herb gardens for 4,000 years. Almost all of the spirit herbs in the gardens had already matured, and they were also reproducing on their own, causing the scale of the spirit herb gardens to expand immeasurably. Just thinking about this made Lu Ping's heart burn. It should be known that it wasn't just Failing Mountain. The entire Failing Island was the only large island in the North Sea at that time. How many 3,000-year-old spirit herb gardens had not been discovered? Although other places did not have the nourishment of large spirit veins like Failing Mountain, 4,000 years was enough for at least one batch of spirit herbs to grow to a sufficient age. The so-called age of a spirit herb was merely referring to the number of years that it would take to grow in an ordinary environment. However, in a place like Failing Mountain, where it was nourished by spiritual energy, the spirit herbs would definitely mature earlier. A 3,000-year-old spirit herb might only need 1,000 years, 800 years, or even less to reach the required age. Lu Ping continued to travel along the stream. When he was less than half a kilometer away, he activated the 3 Pure One's true eyes and found another riverbank that was covered with a protective formation. The spiritual herb garden was disguised as a soil slope. When Lu Ping reached the source of the stream, the peak of Failing Mountain, Lu Ping had already broken through 7 to 8 3,000-year-old spirit herb gardens along the way. After thinking for a moment, Lu Ping opened a door to the Golden House. The amethyst queen bee, Lu Xilin, flew out shakily. She looked around at the unfamiliar environment and asked, what is this place? There seemed to be a lot of spirit herb gardens. Seeing Xilin's reaction, Lu Ping knew that his previous guess was correct. Thus, he said, this is the ruins of an ancient sect. Many of the spirit herbs below 1,000 years of age have been collected by others. However, the spirit herb gardens above 3,000 years of age are rarely discovered. Stay here and let the bee swarm search. Hearing this, Xilin giggled. Her body began to dance in midair. A deafening buzzing sound surged out from the Golden House. Following her silent communication with the amethyst queen bee, the bee swarm was divided into several groups by Xilin and flew in all directions. Xilin whistled and a puppet horse galloped out of the Golden House. Xylan sat on the horse's back and grabbed the reins with one hand. She swung the whip in her other hand and followed the bee swarm to find the spirit herb gardens. Lu Ping hurriedly said, "Don't worry, these 3,000-year-old spirit herbs are not hard to find with your amethyst queen bee's spirit-seeking talent. Moreover, most of the spirit herb garden's protective formations can't withstand the power of a core forging stage cultivator. However, some of the more important spirit herb garden's protective formations are more stable. Take these restriction-breaking talismans. If you come across one, slap one on it. If it still doesn't work, write it down and wait for me to come out of seclusion before breaking it." Lu Ping took out a bunch of restriction-breaking talismans from his storage magic tool. These talismans were all single-colored, double-colored, and triple-colored talismans that Lu Ping had made in the blink of an eye. At the same time, he gave a spirit-sealing box to Xylan. Inside the box were 3 4-colored talismans that Lu Ping had made. After making these talismans, Lu Ping didn't have any use for them, so he had accumulated a lot of them. In terms of the power of restriction-breaking talismans, the single-colored and double-colored talismans couldn't compare to Xylan's core forging stage cultivation. The amethyst wasp Dao soldier array that Xylan controlled was definitely not something that a triple-colored talisman could compare to. Even a 4-colored talisman might not be able to compare to it. However, the advantage of a restriction-breaking talisman was that when it broke a formation, it wouldn't cause any damage to the things inside the formation. However, it was difficult to guarantee that it would work if an external force was used to break a formation. Every 3,000-year-old spirit herb was considered precious. Lu Ping didn't want to damage the spirit herbs inside the spirit herb garden by breaking the protective formation of the spirit herb garden by force. Hopefully, there were enough spirit herb gardens on Fei Ling Mountain. After 4,000 years of nurturing, the spirit herbs inside would be of sufficient age. This might be a rare opportunity for Xylan, who had already reached a bottleneck in her cultivation. Standing at the top of Fei Ling Mountain, strictly speaking, was the highest point of Fei Ling Mountain that had its peak broken off. During the war that destroyed the Fei Ling sect, the entire top of Fei Ling Mountain had been blown off, causing the giant spirit vein of Fei Ling Mountain to be damaged and drop to the level of a large spirit vein. Most of Fei Ling sect's Dharma adepts' caves, places of inheritance, and treasure vaults were built on the top of the mountain where the spirit energy was the densest. These things were almost completely plundered by the cultivators of the various sections. Lu Ping had opened up a secluded area at the source of the stream. This was also the source of the spirit vein and the place where the spirit energy was the densest in the whole of Fei Ling Mountain. At this time, this spirit vein, which had at least 5 large spirit veins, was being used by Lu Ping alone to smelt the 3rd type of spirit item and advance to the peak of the core forging stage. Chapter 892. Lu Ping patted his chest, and the Linglong wine cauldron rose from Lu Ping's head. Linglong leaned on the edge of the cauldron and poked her head out, shouting, "What a pure aura!" This time, it's Linglong's turn to show off. Finally, I can go all out for once. With the support of such a huge spiritual vein, Linglong will definitely be able to recover to her peak state in 3 years. Lu Ping ignored Linglong's clamor and just threw it towards the source of the stream. The entire wine cauldron began to emit a misty silver light as it rotated. Then, the whole cauldron seemed to have lost control and fell into the stream, sinking at the source of the spiritual vein. A dull roar came from the entire Fei Ling Mountain, then the mountain suddenly shook. Lu Ping could even see through the light curtain of the mountain guarding formation in the distance that the entire Fei Ling Island seemed to be trembling. However, after this shock, the entire Fei Ling Island no longer shook, but the dull roar continued to come. Although Lu Ping could not perceive the changes in the underground spiritual vein and the earth vein, he could sense that the aura on the top of Fei Ling Mountain seemed to have become orderly all of a sudden. Originally, the source of the stream was the center, and there was aura dissipating in all directions. Now, the entire Fei Ling Mountain began to gradually restrain the aura, only emerging from the source of the stream. Due to the concentration and dissipation of the aura in the spiritual vein, it even formed a straight pillar of aura at the top of Fei Ling Mountain, constantly shaking the light curtain of the mountain guarding formation at the top of the mountain. Waves of ripples spread along the light curtain of the mountain guarding formation, even causing the entire mountain guarding formation to shake. Lu Ping absorbed the purest and heaviest qi from this pillar of aura, using it to refine the qi in his body, improve his cultivation, and polish his own foundation. 3 months later, Lu Ping gradually noticed that the concentration of aura in the entire Failing Mountain seemed to be slowly increasing. It seemed that the spiritual vein in Failing Mountain was constantly condensing and increasing, or slowly recovering. A year later, a faint wine aroma began to drift out from the source of the stream under Lu Ping's feet. Lu Ping raised his eyebrows. It seemed that Linglong once said that when it could use its own aura to make wine, it meant that after 4,000 years of wear and tear, Linglong's wine cauldron had finally completely recovered to the peak state of a tribulation spiritual treasure. When Lu Ping woke up from his closed-door cultivation, there was another strong spiritual vibration coming from Failing Mountain. This was the spiritual vibration caused by a breakthrough in cultivation. Lu Ping pinched his fingers and counted. 3 years had passed. Lu Ping's divine sense swept down from the top of Failing Mountain. After a while, a smile finally appeared on his face. This was the amethyst bee queen, Zilon, using the royal jelly brewed from the spiritual herbs in the 3,000 spiritual herb garden to push her cultivation to the 3rd level of the core forging realm in one fell swoop. At this time, the swarm of amethyst bees had expanded to 12,000. Among them, there were hundreds of amethyst bees in the late blood condensation realm, and the total number of amethyst bees in the blood condensation realm had reached 3,000. Fortunately, the amethyst bees could only be used as Dao soldiers. If they relied on pure strength, an amethyst bee in the late blood condensation realm could only slightly defeat an early blood condensation realm human cultivator. Otherwise, Lu Ping's 12,000 amethyst Dao soldiers would be invincible in the world. However, even though the amethyst bee queen was already at the 3rd level of the core forging realm, none of the amethyst bees in the swarm could break through to the core forging realm. Lu Ping had asked Zilon about this, but even the amethyst bee queen didn't know the reason. At this time, Lu Ping's cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th level of the core forging realm. However, Lu Ping didn't plan to start refining the lightning tribulation water. After all, although Lu Ping had a lot of favorable conditions, there were still hidden dangers if his cultivation increased too quickly. Whether it was the increase in cultivation from the heavenly flower dew, the fortuitous encounter in the sacred lake, or the entire spirit vein of Failing Mountain, all of them were for Lu Ping's use. However, the more it was under such circumstances, the more Lu Ping didn't dare to be careless. He also didn't dare to be careless about his own cultivation. As such, Lu Ping spent another 5 years tempering the true essence in his body. At the same time, he tempered the medicinal efficacy that had accumulated in his body due to the Golden Resilience Pill, Bone Forging Pill, Ashwood Clear Jade Pill, and other spirit pills that could increase the strength of his body. During these 5 years, Lu Ping used a 5-colored restriction breaking talisman to open an opening in the light curtain of the mountain guarding array at the foot of Failing Mountain. At the same time, he used the purple jade slip of Failing Sect to close the opening. Initially, Lu Ping wanted to completely stop the defensive array formation on Failing Mountain. Unfortunately, even after months of searching, he still couldn't find the array formation hub used by Failing Sect to control the entire defensive array formation. In the end, he had no choice but to use a 5-colored restriction breaking talisman to open up a small opening. Through this opening, the amethyst bees were no longer limited to Failing Mountain. They were busy all over Failing Island. Just as Lu Xiaohai roared, Lu Ping's divine thoughts had also observed that in the core space of his heart, a huge internal alchemy was slowly condensing. Because of the pure spiritual energy absorbed in the past 8 years, Lu Xiaohai's internal alchemy did not have time to refine the impurities contained in it due to the rapid improvement of his cultivation. The entire internal alchemy looked extremely pure, which showed that the foundation was also extremely solid. Although Lu Xiaohai's tiger roar in this lifetime was far from the level of a great divine ability, and was even far from the level of a minor divine ability, This tiger roar had planted the seed of a direct divine ability for Lu Xiaohai. Just after Lu Xiaohai's tiger roar, the huge tiger head began to gradually change. The fur on the surface continued to disappear, and the huge head began to shrink. Gradually, the face of a chubby toddler began to gradually outline. Lu Xiaohai's entire huge body began to gradually shrink until it completely turned into a human form. What Lu Xiaohai showed in front of people was just the appearance of an 8 or 9-year-old fat child. Xiaohai greets master. Lu Xiaohai, with a trace of a child's voice, no longer had the spirit of looking down on the world just now. Lu Ping nodded with a smile and praised, "Not bad, very much like Taoist whose roar," and the world was awed. As he spoke, Lu Ping rummaged through his storage device, and then only heard a clanging sound. Then, a pair of copper hammers was thrown out by Lu Ping. When Lu Xiaohai saw the pair of copper hammers, his eyes suddenly lit up. After all, he was still a child, and he did not hide the hope in his eyes for the pair of copper hammers. Lu Ping said, "What are you waiting for? This is specially for you." "Really for me?" Lu Xiaohai picked up the pair of copper hammers on the ground. Although it was a little difficult, he could barely swing them. Lu Xiaohai's excitement was beyond words. "Thank you, Master, for the reward. Xiaohai is going to play with Sister Peach Blossom." Lu Xiaohai naturally wanted to show off to others after getting a novel thing. This pair of copper hammers was obtained by Lu Ping when he killed a demon cultivator in the fallen secret land. It was a pair of top psychic magic weapons that had condensed the 6 treasures restriction. In the future, it could even be upgraded to a spirit-nurturing magic weapon. After obtaining this pair of copper hammers, Lu Ping had kept it until Lu Xiaohai reached the core forging stage. Lu Xiaohai's cultivation method was of the metal attribute, so he was the best person to wield this pair of copper hammers. Even though Lu Xiaohai's current strength was still unable to completely bring out the might of this pair of top spirit-linked magic treasures, the more it was like this, the more it was able to motivate Lu Xiaohai to place even more of his thoughts on cultivation. After 8 years, Lu Ping had finally polished his cultivation to the ideal level. At this time, Lu Ping could finally refine the Thunder Tribulation water without any worries and advance to the peak of the core forging stage. Chapter 893. There was a flash of light in Lu Ping's palm, and a shining golden core appeared in Lu Ping's hand. This was a golden core that had already reached the 9th grade. It could be said to be a perfect existence in the cultivation world. It was the foundation that would allow one to become a great cultivator in the future, and there was hope of becoming a pure Yang patriarch or even a true spirit cultivator. However, the pure flood dragon bloodline contained in this golden core, which Lu Ping obtained from the Tenma people Machensi, was a huge temptation to Lu Ping's own bloodline. This temptation was very familiar to Lu Ping. Every time Lu Ping smelted a spirit item and made a breakthrough in his cultivation, Lu Ping's bloodline would be in a state of extreme thirst for similar bloodlines. This was the uniqueness of Lu Ping's bloodline. Normally, cultivators only needed to smelt 3 types of bloodlines in the blood condensation realm to strengthen their own bloodline. Then, their cultivation would soar. But Lu Ping was different. He had already fused 5 types of bloodlines, but after reaching the peak of the 9th grade core forging realm, Lu Ping's cultivation showed no signs of breaking through, no matter how hard he tried. When Lu Ping took out the 9th grade golden core of the Tenma people that contained the Flood Dragon bloodline, not only did his bloodline throb, but the bottleneck of his cultivation also completely loosened. The golden core was placed in his palm, and blue true essence surged from his palm, completely wrapping the golden core into a ball of true essence. Traces of bloodline power in the golden core were completely stripped away by Lu Ping's true essence. Then, it was brought into his bloodline and completely refined by Lu Ping's bloodline. The ball of true essence in Lu Ping's palm was shrinking bit by bit. When the entire golden core completely melted into Lu Ping's true essence, Lu Ping's divine sense quickly entered the core space. At this moment, above the golden core in the core space, the 9 huge strange dragons were completely coiled together, as if they were about to welcome some sort of change. At this moment, the power of the bloodline essence brought by the Zhenyuan was absorbed by the golden Dan. the tails and bodies of the 9 strange flood dragons intertwined with each other. Behind the 9 strange flood dragons' necks, a lush horse mane grew at an extremely fast speed, making the 9 strange flood dragons look even more monstrous. At this moment, the bottleneck of the 9th layer core forging realm was broken. In the cultivation world, the tribulation thunder water was known to be the most difficult to smelt among all the heaven and earth spiritual objects. The lightning tribulation water did not contain lightning tribulation chi, but it did contain a trace of lightning tribulation power. Therefore, the 7 Fan Laozu of the Tianxian sect wanted to use the lightning tribulation water to wash his 7 treasured fans. This was to familiarize the fans with the power of lightning tribulation. When the fans really faced the second lightning tribulation, they would be able to successfully survive it and upgrade the 7 treasured fans to second tribulation spiritual treasures. However, the power of the lightning tribulation that spiritual treasures faced during the tribulation was far less than that faced by Dharma adepts. Therefore, the lightning tribulation water was of little help to a cultivator in overcoming the tribulation, but it was much more important for a spiritual treasure. This was also why the 7 treasures thunder gourd had done everything possible to swallow the lightning tribulation water into the gourd when Lu Ping obtained it. The lightning tribulation water did not contain pure yang qi, but it did contain a trace of pure yang qi. When a cultivator refined the lightning tribulation water, they were also familiarizing themselves with the pure yang qi in the lightning tribulation water. This way, after the cultivator successfully passed the tribulation, they would be more familiar with the pure yang qi and be able to refine more pure yang qi into their Dharma adepts. The more pure yang qi the Dharma adepts refined, the more tenacious the foundation and life force of the Dharma adepts were, and the higher the possibility of passing the next lightning tribulation in the future. Lu Ping held the 7 treasures thunder gourd in his hand and shook it vigorously, barely managing to hold a drop of the lightning tribulation water in the palm of his hand. The numbing power of the lightning tribulation directly passed from his palm to the core space. Lu Ping threw the 7 treasures thunder gourd on the ground and laughed. "You still don't want to part with it? This lightning tribulation water belongs to me, your master, and you dare to borrow it without returning it?" Lu Ping's palm was suffused with a bluish-purple zhenyuan, and wave after wave of this zhenyuan attacked the blue drop of zhenyuan in his palm. But this drop of lightning tribulation water also seemed to be aware of the crisis, and lightning suddenly burst out, and before the bluish-purple zhenyuan could wrap it up, a bluish-purple zhenyuan barrier instantly wrapped Lu Ping's entire palm in a flash of lightning. For a moment, Lu Ping could even feel his entire arm convulsing under the lightning. In the core space, the huge golden dan began to slowly rotate, and 9 strange flood dragons appeared one after another on the surface of the golden dan. Each time a strange flood dragon appeared, it would issue a silent cry towards the direction of Lu Ping's arm. A wave of purple dan qi surged up in the middle of the core space, and the zhenyuan in Lu Ping's blood was like a wave, and each wave was higher than the previous one as it rushed towards the palm of his hand. The bluish-purple light shined brightly, but at this time, the lightning tribulation water seemed to be lacking in strength. Finally, the flames of the lightning tribulation water were completely suppressed by the purple zhenyuan. Even so, if Lu Ping wanted to thoroughly refine the lightning tribulation water, it would still be extremely difficult. According to Lu Ping's estimates, if he wanted to use his own zhenyuan to assimilate this drop of lightning tribulation water, it would take at least 3 months, and if he wanted to completely refine it, it would still take another 3 months. Thoroughly refining a drop of lightning tribulation water would take half a year. Afterwards, as Lu Ping refined more and more of the lightning tribulation water, the time needed would become shorter and shorter. But even so, it would take at least 10 years or even 20 years of painstaking effort to complete this process. However, at this moment, a mysterious power hidden within the zhenyuan suddenly burst forth. The light of the lightning tribulation water that was still tenaciously resisting the corrosion of Lu Ping's zhenyuan suddenly dimmed. Lu Ping immediately felt that the resistance of the lightning tribulation water in his palm began to drop, and the speed at which the zhenyuan corroded it began to accelerate. At this time, Lu Ping realized that this was because he had completely refined the pure yang energy and fused it into his bloodline. Although the pure yang energy in Lu Ping's bloodline was extremely thin, the main carrier of the pure yang energy was the tribulation thunder. After the tribulation thunder was weakened, the lightning tribulation water would naturally be tamed much more easily in front of the pure yang energy. With the help of the weak pure yang energy contained in his bloodline, the time that Lu Ping needed to refine the lightning tribulation water was greatly reduced. In just 3 months, the first drop of lightning tribulation water was completely refined into his Zhen Yuan. After the refined drop of lightning tribulation water was fused into his Zhen Yuan, Lu Ping could clearly perceive that there was a trace of extremely violent spirituality in his bloodline. And after this spirituality finally fused into his golden core, in Lu Ping's divine sense, the 9 strange flood dragons suddenly jumped in his golden core, and the golden core also followed suit. Then the entire core space shook, and for a moment, Lu Ping felt as if his entire heart was about to jump out of his chest. Immediately after this trace of spirituality fused into the Dan Xia purple mist, the combined and condensed 100 rivers into the sea talisman and mulberry field talisman seemed to suddenly come to life. A sound of a sword and the sound of a surging tide surged out from Lu Ping's divine sense. It seemed as if the whole world was about to change. And with this trace of spirituality fusing into the natal gentian formation, the flashing spirit of the grade 9 white jade lotus seemed to be even more dazzling, and the 5-colored light of the gentian bead became even more dazzling, almost covering the body of the gentian bead. After refining the first drop of lightning tribulation water, the second drop of lightning tribulation water was a little easier to refine. Compared to refining the first drop of lightning tribulation water, the refining time was shortened by 3 days. After refining a drop of lightning tribulation water, the time used by Lu Ping would be shortened by 1 to 3 days. When Lu Ping finished refining the first drop of lightning tribulation water, the time used by Lu Ping to refine a drop of lightning tribulation water had already been shortened by 1 month, and the whole time had already passed by 4 years. However, when Lu Ping set out to refine the second drop of lightning tribulation water, the time used was shortened again. This time, it was about 30 days for each drop of lightning tribulation water, all the way to the last drop of lightning tribulation water, and finally, it only took 6 to 7 days, and finally, it only took 1 year. However, at this time, Lu Ping's Zhen Yuan demand for lightning tribulation water was far from satiated. When it came to refining the third drop of lightning tribulation water, Lu Ping actually only needed 1 day to refine a drop of lightning tribulation water. After a full 24 days, the third drop of lightning tribulation water had already been thoroughly refined into his blood vessels. And after refining the third drop of lightning tribulation water, a great power surged in Lu Ping's blood vessels. Lu Ping's divine sense was closely watching the great changes that were taking place in his core space. When Lu Ping advanced to the 9th layer of core forging, the 9th strange flood dragon that formed in his golden core suddenly turned around and slammed into the body of the first strange flood dragon that formed when Lu Ping advanced to the 9th layer of core forging. A huge roar resounded in Lu Ping's divine sense, and Lu Ping's head involuntarily tilted back. When Lu Ping's divine sense returned to his core space, he was shocked to find that one of the strange flood dragons had disappeared from his golden core. Lu Ping hurriedly checked his own cultivation and found that he was still at the 9th layer of core forging. Only then did he breathe a sigh of relief. At this time, the 8th strange flood dragon that was condensed when Lu Ping advanced to the 8th layer of core forging also slammed into another strange flood dragon. This time, Lu Ping was prepared. Although the roar in his divine sense was still unceasing, causing Lu Ping to feel dizzy, Lu Ping finally saw that after the 8th strange flood dragon collided with the body of the first strange flood dragon, it was extremely miraculously integrated into the body of the first strange flood dragon. At this time, Lu Ping discovered that the body of this strange flood dragon was actually much larger than the other strange flood dragons. Obviously, this was because it had integrated with the 9th and 8th strange flood dragons. This strange flood dragon was obviously the first strange flood dragon that appeared in Lu Ping's golden core when he had just advanced to the core forging stage. Immediately after, the 7th strange flood dragon, the 6th strange flood dragon, until the 2nd strange flood dragon collided with the 1st strange flood dragon and integrated with it. When the last strange flood dragon collided with the golden core, a strange flood dragon that was far larger than the previous one appeared in the middle of the golden core. It was even more majestic and powerful than before. It shook its head and wagged its tail, looking very lively. Lu Ping's golden core finally emitted a dazzling light. 9 mysterious golden runes appeared in a row and crawled all over the surface of the golden core. The golden core had reached the peak of the core forging stage. Lu Ping was finally only one step away from becoming a Dharma adept. Chapter 894. 9th Grade Dan, Peak of Dan Forging Realm. Lu Ping was so excited that he suddenly looked up to the sky and roared. The clear roar pierced the clouds and cracked the stones. The straight spiritual chi columns seemed to be affected by the roar and began to scatter in the air. Not far away from Lu Ping, the branches and leaves of a towering peach tree rustled in the wind. It sounded like it was cheering, but it also sounded like it was afraid. However, in just a moment, the peach tree began to shrink and then turned into a little girl. Lu Taohua curled up on the ground and seemed to be in awe of Lu Ping for a moment. Unfortunately, Lu Ping was so excited that he did not notice what was happening around him. Outside Failing Mountain, where Lu Ping did not see, Lu Xiaohai and Lu Xilan were playing on Failing Island. When Lu Ping's roar came, despite the mountain-protecting formation of Failing Mountain, the pressure from the bloodline hidden in the roar was added to the two in an instant. The amethyst queen bee suddenly fell from the puppet horse. Her whole body turned into the original form of the queen bee, lying on the ground and shivering. Although Lu Xiaohai had pride from the blood of Taoist Hu in his bones, when the roar came, he instinctively felt the fear from the bloodline. He could no longer maintain the image of a fat boy of 8 or 9 years old. His whole body turned into a giant tiger again. Although he wanted to stand up straight, his limbs did not listen to him at all. In the end, he fell in the direction of the roar. Lu Xiaohai was still unwilling to give up. He wanted to roar and get rid of this natural pressure. However, when he opened his mouth, he could not make a sound. Finally, he accepted his fate and lowered his head. Thousands of amethyst bees fell from the air when the roar came, as if it was a bee rain. After each amethyst bee fell to the ground, they turned their heads in the direction of the roar, as if they were worshipping something devoutly. The whistling stopped abruptly. Lu Ping took a deep breath. His entire body and mind were filled with great strength. This was the feeling of a peak core forging cultivator. At this time, Lu Ping noticed Lu Taohua, who was curled up on the ground and shivering. Because Lu Taohua was the closest to Lu Ping, she suffered the most from Lu Ping. Even though she had inherited the strange blood of the flood dragon, she was still like a small boat in a huge wave in front of Lu Ping, in danger of capsizing at any time. Peach Blossom, what's wrong with you? Scared? Lu Taohua stood up from the ground. Although there was a trace of fear in her clear eyes, there was more curiosity. Lu Ping thought that it was because he had used quintessential essence in his roar that made Lu Taohua feel afraid, but he didn't realize that this was not only because of quintessential essence, but also because of the fear that came from the source of her bloodline. Lu Ping knew he had gotten carried away just now, so he calmed himself down and prepared to continue his closed-door cultivation. He wanted to stabilize his cultivation base after his recent breakthrough. Unexpectedly, just as Lu Ping was about to refine quintessential essence, the Linglong wine cauldron suddenly jumped out from the source of the stream. I found a tool spirit like me, do you want to take a look? Tool spirit? Lu Ping was taken aback, and without hesitation, he asked, where is it? Lu Ping couldn't help but be surprised. What was a tool spirit? It was something that could only be born from a spirit treasure that had gone through a lightning tribulation and absorbed pure yang qi. There might be other ways to give birth to a tool spirit, but Lu Ping himself didn't know. Even if there were other ways, a tool spirit must be a precious existence. Where is it? How did you find it? What kind of spirit treasure is it? Lu Ping raised his foot and opened his mouth to ask 3 questions at the same time. Obviously, he was a little impatient. Why are you so anxious? It can't run now. If it could run, it would have run away in the past 4,000 years. Why would it wait until now? Linglong said angrily, I had some surprises to tell you, but now there's no way. Lu Ping realized that he was really too anxious. It seemed that after advancing to the peak of core forging and condensing a 9th-grade golden core, Lu Ping's mind had been in a trance state. Lu Ping knew that this was because his cultivation had not yet stabilized. Oh, I was too anxious. So Linglong, how did you find this tool spirit? Linglong coldly snorted, turned around, and jumped into the wine cauldron. It was unknown what she was fiddling with, but after a moment, she emerged from the wine cauldron and said, Here you go. 3 round water droplets sparkled with a bright light as they flew towards Lu Ping. A strong wine fragrance that could intoxicate a person was suddenly emitted from these 3 water droplets. The 3 water droplets hovered in front of Lu Ping. Lu Ping carefully looked at them, and his nose twitched. He hesitantly asked, Heavenly fragrant wine? Linglong proudly swung the small braid on her head and said, Yes, a Heaven Step mid-grade water attribute world treasure, heavenly fragrant wine. Lu Ping carefully stored the 3 heavenly fragrant wine droplets in a jade bottle, and then asked, Linglong, how did you do it? How could you even brew a treasure like heavenly fragrant wine? Linglong proudly raised her small head and said, It's a pity that the spirit veins of Fei Ling Mountain haven't recovered after recovering to the state of 7 large spirit veins. Otherwise, if Linglong could recover to the level of 1 large spirit vein, she would even be able to brew a Heaven Step high-grade heavenly fragrant wine at the source of the spirit vein. At that time, just the fragrance of the wine would be enough to intoxicate people to death. In the world of cultivation, there were 3 strange water attribute heavenly fragrant wine. They were the Heaven Step low-grade heavenly fragrant wine, the Heaven Step mid-grade heavenly fragrant wine, and the Heaven Step high-grade heavenly fragrant jade liquid. These 3 world treasures all appeared in the world of cultivation in the form of wine. They were also wondrous spirit treasures used by cultivators who cultivated water attribute cultivation techniques to increase their cultivation. However, cultivators would usually be in a drunken state during the smelting process, and the smelting process would also take a long time. The longer the drunken state lasted, the longer the smelting process would take. Moreover, after a cultivator smelted any one of these 3 world treasures, they would become extremely addicted to wine, and it would be difficult for them to kick the habit for the rest of their lives. Seeing Lu Ping's surprise, Linglong became even more proud. She proudly said, As long as there is a large spirit vein to support it, Linglong can brew a drop of Heaven Step low-grade heavenly fragrant wine every 5 years. If there are more than 5 large spirit veins to support it, Linglong can brew a drop of Heaven Step mid-grade heavenly fragrant wine. Similarly, if there is a large spirit vein to support it, Linglong can also brew a drop of Heaven Step high-grade heavenly fragrant wine every 5 years. She withdrew her head from the wine cauldron and fiddled with it for a long time. When her head came out again, she was holding 3 jade bottles in her hands. She said, You have been in seclusion for almost 15 years, and only have these 3 drops of heavenly fragrant wine. However, these bottles of heavenly fragrant wine are real spirit wines brewed using the water from the stream at the source of the spirit vein. They are also one of the best wines in the world of cultivation, and the spiritual chi contained in them is no less helpful to a cultivator's cultivation than a Dharma adept's spirit pill. How could Lu Ping not recognize this famous spirit wine? It was said that the brewing process of this spirit wine was extremely complicated, and it could not be successfully brewed without decades or centuries of cultivation. The number of people in the world of cultivation who knew how to brew this spirit wine could be counted on one's fingers. Every time a bottle of this spirit wine appeared, it would cause many Dharma adepts to fight over it. This was because this spirit wine was different from spirit pills. It could be repeatedly used by a cultivator to assist in their cultivation, and it would not produce any toxic side effects or resistance. Spirit pills were different. Some extremely special spirit pills could only be consumed 3 times before losing any effect. As for spirit pills that were used to assist in cultivation, a cultivator could only consume 3 bottles at most. After that, it was very easy for a cultivator to develop various kinds of medicinal toxins in their bodies. After Linglong handed all these things to Lu Ping, she saw that Lu Ping's attitude was quite satisfactory. She then said, "All these years, I have been combing through the spirit vein of Fei Ling Mountain, and I have indirectly gained partial control over the entire spirit vein of Fei Ling Mountain. Thus, I discovered that in one of the spirit stone veins, there is a spirit life like me." Upon hearing this, Lu Ping immediately asked, "A spirit stone vein? You mean you discovered a spirit stone vein?" Linglong was extremely angry at Lu Ping's sudden interruption, and she gave Lu Ping a big eye roll. Lu Ping chuckled and said, "Oh, continue." This artifact spirit is extremely strange. It can actually leave its body and exist on its own. However, it seems to be extremely weak and can only rely on the spirit stone vein to continue its existence. Once it leaves the spirit stone vein, this artifact spirit will probably disappear immediately. Oh. Lu Ping thought for a moment and said, "It seems like someone deliberately placed this artifact spirit inside to prevent the artifact spirit from dissipating on its own." Lu Ping followed the direction pointed by Linglong all the way out of Fei Ling Mountain, and came to the back of a small stone mountain in the southeast of Fei Ling Island. On a rocky slope, Lu Ping turned over every stone one by one. After continuously turning over a pile of rocks, a pitch-black mine cave finally appeared in front of Lu Ping. Could there be a medium-sized spirit stone vein inside? Lu Ping stood at the entrance of the cave and muttered to himself. This spirit stone vein didn't even have the slightest bit of spiritual qi leaking out. Just as Lu Ping was about to walk into the cave, he suddenly saw a woman floating out of the cave. Her body was so weak that it was almost transparent. She didn't look surprised when she saw Lu Ping. She said, "It's been 4,000 years, and someone has finally found this place. I didn't expect you to find Qianzhong Su and the Golden House as well." Looking at the woman in front of him, Lu Ping knew that she was very weak at this time, and could even completely disappear from this world at any time. "What's your name? Where is your body?" Lu Ping asked. "Ryu, the spirit of the spirit stone, Ryu." The woman said calmly, "I am the guardian spirit of Fei Ling Sect's treasured ship." Chapter 895. Although a spirit stone mine was not as good as a spirit vein, a spirit stone mine still accumulated a relatively rich amount of heaven and earth spirit qi. However, when Lu Ping opened the entrance of the spirit stone mine, there was not a trace of spirit qi leaking out. Before Lu Ping could enter the spirit stone mine, an illusory figure of a woman that seemed like it would collapse at any time floated out from the depths of the mine. "How did you know that I have Qianzhong Su and the Golden House?" When Lu Ping saw that there was indeed a tool spirit hiding here, he was overjoyed. However, when he heard that the tool spirit Ryu was able to see through Lu Ping's heavenly abode, Lu Ping's face sank. "It's very simple." The tool spirit Ryu curled up the corners of her mouth and smiled. However, this smile made her figure seem even more disorganized. Lu Ping furrowed his brows. He took out a top-grade spirit stone and cast Spirit Explosion Art, causing the entire top-grade spirit stone to burst out with extremely pure spiritual energy that surrounded the jade-like artifact spirit. "Ah, a top-grade spirit stone." The tool spirit Ryu let out a cry of joy. Her originally disorganized figure quickly began to greedily absorb the rich and pure spirit qi. When the spirit qi was completely absorbed, the tool spirit Ryu's figure suddenly became much more solid. Because Qianzhong Su and the Golden House were originally part of the treasure ship of Fei Ling Sect, the Sea Carriage, and I am the tool spirit of the treasure ship, no one can be more familiar with these two special heavenly abode than I am. Lu Ping's heart was already surging with emotions. The treasure ship of Fei Ling Sect was really something that one could wear out iron shoes in fruitless search, only to find it by chance without even looking for it. However, Lu Ping's expression did not change at all. Instead, he asked in a deep voice, "You said that you are the guardian tool spirit of Fei Ling Sect's treasure ship, so why are you here now? Where is the treasure ship of Fei Ling Sect?" Although Lu Ping tried to hide it, the tool spirit Ryu seemed to be able to sense Lu Ping's eagerness for the treasure ship from Lu Ping's words. However, she still shook her head and said, "The treasure ship had sunk in the northern part of the North Sea. At that time, the great practitioner of Fei Ling sect only had time to bring back the damaged golden house, Qian Zhongsu, and myself. Upon hearing this, Lu Ping was stunned and said, "What? The golden house and Qian Zhongsu, these two celestial treasures, are also part of the treasure ship?" Ru Yu nodded and said, "Yes, and they are the most important parts of the treasure ship. These two heavenly abode celestial treasures are the spatial core of the entire treasure ship, and also the key to the treasure ship's ability to travel between the central planes and the overseas cultivation world." The reason why the great practitioner of Fei Ling sect brought these two heavenly abode celestial treasures back alone was to repair them in the future, and then salvage the treasure ship from the bottom of the sea. Without these two heavenly abode celestial treasures, the wreckage of the treasure ship couldn't be repaired even if it was salvaged. Why did the treasure ship of Fei Ling sect sink? After a moment of silence, Lu Ping opened his mouth and asked. It was attacked. At that time, the great practitioner of Fei Ling sect who was controlling the treasure ship couldn't resist, but I don't know who the enemy was. Ru Yu's body was temporarily restored because of Lu Ping's supreme grade spirit stone, but if she wanted to completely restore to her peak state 4,000 years ago, a supreme grade spirit stone wouldn't be able to do it. An artifact spirit was different from a real cultivator. It could not cultivate at all. Even though it had survived the thunder tribulation and condensed pure yang qi, it could only be nourished by the cultivator's own true essence. Only then could it maintain or display its own functions. Once they lost the nourishment of a cultivator's true essence, the artifact spirit's own spirituality would fade with the passage of time, until the artifact spirit in a thunder tribulation spirit treasure completely disappeared, and it would become a spirit-nurturing treasure again, or even lower. However, the artifact spirit itself also had a body to protect it, just like how Linglong was protected by Linglong's wine cauldron. Although 4,000 years had passed, the artifact spirit's spirituality hadn't been lost too much. However, the artifact spirit Ru Yu was different from other artifact spirits. She could exist without a body, and her own quality might be stronger than Linglong's, but it was precisely because she didn't have a body to protect her that her current state was far worse than Linglong's. After I was brought back to Fei Ling sect, I was handed over to the master and disciple. The two of them worked together to repair Qian Zhongsu and the House of Gold. Later, the master seemed to be looking for something to repair the House of Gold, so he left with the House of Gold, leaving only the disciple who was repairing Qian Zhongsu and myself. Lu Ping's heart moved, and he said, "Is the master called Zhongshuan Laozu, and the disciple is Jiao Yuqiang?" Ru Yu was stunned, and she said, "It seems that too much time has passed, and my own spirituality has been lost. In order to slow down the loss of spirituality, I have forgotten many of my memories." Lu Ping nodded. This was right. When Linglong was first found in the Ying Tian dojo, although she had the protection of the wine cauldron, her own spirituality had been damaged a lot, and many of her memories of the Ying Tian dojo had been destroyed. Now, the loss of spirituality of this artifact spirit Ru Yu was obviously much greater than that of Linglong, but it was already quite amazing that she could still remember so many things. Without the treasure ship's body, how can you maintain your own spirituality for 4,000 years without being destroyed? Lu Ping looked at the cave behind Ru Yu, and he said, "Is it because of the spirit stone mine behind you?" Ru Yu nodded, and she signaled Lu Ping to follow behind her. Lu Ping followed Ru Yu into the spirit stone mine. About 1,000 feet into the spirit stone mine, the spirit stone vein was already exposed on the cave walls. Spirit stones were scattered on the stone walls, glowing with a misty light and illuminating the originally dark cave. Lu Ping stared at the formation plate on the ground and the formation engraved around it, and he said in surprise, "You relied on this formation to absorb spirit energy from the spirit stone mine to survive for 4,000 years? Ru Yu was stunned for a moment, and she said, "Yes, for 1,000 years. This formation was set up by that disciple. At that time, something extremely important seemed to have happened in Fei Ling sect, so he couldn't take care of me anymore. He hurriedly set up a formation here and left. As for me, I can't go too far away from here. Otherwise, if I can't receive the spiritual qi in the formation, I'll disappear soon." Lu Ping carefully examined the array formation. It was an extremely exquisite spirit transferring array formation. It could convert the spirit stones in the spirit vein into a unique spiritual energy that could be used to maintain its own form. It was similar to Lu Ping's spirit explosion art, albeit a different approach. However, this spirit transferring formation couldn't stimulate the spirit energy in the spirit stones to such a high degree like the spirit explosion technique, and the spirit explosion technique could only target one or a few spirit stones at a time, so it couldn't achieve the scale of the spirit transferring formation. Lu Ping carefully recorded this formation and gave it to Hu Lily as a reference in the future. It would definitely be helpful for her to improve her formation skills. After recording the spirit transferring formation, Lu Ping turned to look at Ruyu and said, "Miss Ruyu, what do you plan to do in the future?" Ruyu bitterly smiled and said, "What else can I do? If I continue to stay in this cave, I'm afraid that even with the spirit transferring formation, Ruyu will disappear. Moreover, the Golden House and the 1,000 Bell Millet are in Master's hands. That was the place where Ruyu lived on the treasure ship. Therefore, I hope Master can help me." Lu Ping stretched out his hand and flicked out a drop of bluish-purple liquid true essence with a trace of hidden electric arcs. The liquid true essence flew straight towards Ruyu's chest. The moment the liquid true essence touched the jade body of the artifact spirit, it was like a drop of ink falling into clear water. This drop of liquid true essence, with the jade chest as the center, quickly spread throughout her entire body. After refining 3 portions of thunder tribulation water, the spirituality in Lu Ping's true essence had a trace of violence. When refining magic treasure spirits and casting magical techniques, there were many more overbearing things in it. In addition, Ruyu had reached an extremely weak state at this time. Moreover, she deliberately let Lu Ping be the master. Therefore, Lu Ping's refining process was surprisingly smooth. In just a cup of tea's time, Lu Ping's true essence had spread throughout the body of Ruyu's true essence. Then, the bluish-purple light disappeared again, and the Ruyu's true essence returned to its previous appearance of white clothes and plain face. However, although her previous appearance was still weak after being refined by Lu Ping, there was a trace of vitality and spirituality in her body. Obviously, her previous worries were gone. With the help of the spirit vein gathered by Ling Long at the top of Fei Ling Mountain, she should be able to recover as soon as possible. Lu Ping held the house of gold that was hanging on his neck in his hand. Ruyu's face lit up with joy. Without Lu Ping doing anything, the house of gold actually flew up from Lu Ping's palm. Then, the tightly closed door of the house of gold suddenly opened from the inside. Ruyu flew up and disappeared into the house of gold. With a thought from Lu Ping, the house of gold shrank and fell into his palm. Lu Ping could feel that the house of gold was going through a huge change at this time. However, at this time, Lu Ping turned his attention back to the spirit stone vein in front of him. Before the appearance of large spirit stone veins on Frost Island, even during the days when Fei Ling sect dominated the North Sea, not a single large spirit stone vein had appeared in the North Sea. However, back then, the Fei Ling sect had monopolized 4 mid-sized spirit stone veins and maintained its position as the overlord of the North Sea. Of these 4 medium-sized spirit stone veins, 2 of them were taken as spoils of war by the sects of the North Sea during the Great War of Fei Ling sect. The other one was affected by the war, and after the earth veins changed, it was reduced from a medium-sized spirit stone vein to a small-sized spirit stone vein. Only the last one was still missing. Some people had guessed that this 4th medium-sized spirit stone vein was still on Fei Ling Island and had sunk into the abyss of the sea along with Fei Ling sect. However, every 500 years when Fei Ling Island opened, the blood condensation realm cultivators sent out by the sects never found this spirit stone vein. If it wasn't for Linglong's unique spirit treasure that could inspect the spirit veins on Fei Ling Island and observe many things that couldn't be found on the surface, this spirit stone vein would be concealed by the spirit transferring formation and Ruyu's artifact spirit. Not even Debeo would be able to find this spirit stone vein. Chapter 896. According to Lu Ping's knowledge, Zhenling was currently planning to expand its share of the large spirit stone veins on Frost Island. Other than that, The larger spirit stone veins Junling controlled came from a complete mid-sized spirit stone vein on Frost Island. There was also a mid-sized spirit stone vein that Jiang Tianlin Laozu, Copper Sword Laozu and Triple Brightness Laozu of Jade Sword Sect and Chong Ming Sect had transferred into the abundant void treasured mirror. After Jiang Tianlin Laozu had brought this spirit stone vein back to the North Sea, it had been transferred to a mid-sized island under Junling's jurisdiction. Junling's share of this spirit stone vein was 60%, while Jade Sword Sect and Chong Ming Sect each had 20%. The rest of the spirit stone veins were small and miniature spirit stone veins, and other spirit stone veins that had a very small share of the spirit stone vein. Although Junling's spirit stone veins were second to none in the North Sea, following Junling's rise, these spirit stone resources had become a little lacking in the process of cultivation. Of course, in reality, no sect would complain that their own spirit stone vein would produce an inexhaustible amount of spirit stones, not to mention that Junling was far from being able to reach such a level. When Lu Ping saw this complete mid-sized spirit stone vein, he naturally thought about how to transfer the entire spirit stone vein away. Although Lu Ping did not have the abundant void treasured mirror that had been condensed with 8 heavenly abode treasured seals like Jiang Tianlin Laozu to guide the entire spirit stone vein away, after the artifact Spirit Ru Jadeite had entered the House of Gold, the great changes that had occurred in the House of Gold had caused Lu Ping to change his mind. Lu Ping had long suspected that the little mountain in the House of Gold was specially set up to guide the spirit veins. However, because the spirit veins could not be stabilized after being guided to the little mountain, the spirit veins would gradually disappear after a long time. Even so, Lu Ping had guided a few spirit veins into the House of Gold to supply the spirit energy needed by the spirit demon peach tree, the gold nut fruit tree, the top-grade spirit tea tree, the soul shocking tree, the white jade lotus pond, and a few other important treasures. However, Lu Ping had to spend his Zhen Yuan to perform the spirit-strengthening secret technique every once in a while to stabilize these spirit veins, lest these spirit veins collapse because of the lack of a stable earth vein. However, after the weapon Spirit Ru Yu descended on Little Lonely Mountain, the first change appeared on Little Lonely Mountain. Lu Ping's spiritual force could clearly sense that earth vein power was gradually forming in Little Lonely Mountain. The existence of the earth vein power meant that the spirit veins could have a relatively stable foundation in the earth vein. With some simple methods, the spirit veins could be completely fixed in the earth vein, and there was no need to worry about the spirit veins collapsing. Sure enough, after a while, Ru Yu began to adjust the scattered small and micro spirit veins in the House of Gold. She gathered all of them on Little Lonely Mountain and merged them into a complete main spirit vein. Then she opened up branch spirit veins to provide for the growth of some important treasures. At this time, Lu Ping had already returned to the top of Fei Ling Mountain and placed the House of Gold above the source of the main spirit vein of Fei Ling Mountain. With the support of the main spirit vein that gathered 7 large spirit veins, in addition to the continuous nourishment by Lu Ping's Zhen Yuan, the weapon Spirit Ru Yu had recovered a lot, which was why it could support the transformation of the House of Gold. During this period of time, Lu Ping once again turned his attention to cultivation. As long as he could completely consolidate his cultivation, this trip to Fei Ling Island could be considered to be successful. With the help of the huge spirit vein of Fei Ling Island, Lu Taohua had already smelted a middle-grade earth-rank spirit object and successfully pushed her cultivation to the middle stage of core forging. After Ru Yu arrived, Ling Long seemed to be quite repulsed by a weapon spirit like Ru Yu. She had not come out from the stream at the source of the spirit vein. Lu Shaohai was sent to the cave of the spirit stone vein by Lu Ping to mine. Lu Shaohai had obtained a pair of top-notch spiritual magic treasures, so he could use mining to hone his hammer skills. During this period of time, the Amethyst Queen Bee had almost turned over all the spiritual herb gardens on Fei Ling Island that it could find. It had already collected a batch of nectar. If it wanted to brew royal jelly again, it would have to wait a few years. However, Lu Ping gave her another task, which was to collect 3,000-year-old spirit herbs. After advancing to the peak of core forging, in addition to refining enough medicinal pills for cultivation, Lu Ping also had to prepare to refine the Spirit Water Meridian Toughening Pill. Lu Ping had previously traded for a mature bloody skeleton flower in mysterious sky ancient city. This was the main ingredient for refining the spirit water meridian toughening pill. Moreover, the amount of this bloody skeleton flower was enough for Lu Ping to refine 3 meridian toughening pills, which could guarantee that the pill would strengthen the body to the limit. The spirit water meridian toughening pill was a top-notch medicinal pill that could improve the body's strength. Its quality was even higher than the azure wood clear jade pill that Lu Ping had taken before. However, using the spirit water meridian toughening pill required a cultivator to be at least at the peak of core forging. Moreover, the 3,000-year-old spirit herbs needed to refine this pill were also very rare. In just a few days, Lu Ping had collected enough spirit herbs to refine the meridian toughening pill from the spirit herbs that Xylan had collected. However, Lu Ping did not let the Amethyst Queen Bee randomly collect the spirit herbs. Instead, he collected them selectively and purposefully, especially when it came to spirit herbs that Lu Ping did not have. After collecting them, the Amethyst Queen Bee would try her best to find seeds and plant them in the spirit herb garden of the Golden House. Lu Ping discovered that the existence of Ruyu, the spirit tool, not only gave the entire spatial magic tool a stable space that was no less than that of a grotto heaven magic treasure, but Ruyu also seemed to have an innate talent for taking care of spirit herbs. The entire spirit herb garden of the Golden House was well taken care of by Ruyu. With the spirit herb garden of the entire Fei Ling Island as backup, the 3,000-year-old spirit herbs that Lu Ping had used to refine pills were not only replenished, but also greatly increased. If it was not for the fact that Lu Ping was worried that if he stored too many spirit herbs, the medicinal properties of the spirit herbs would be lost, Lu Ping would have harvested the entire spirit herb garden of Fei Ling Island. However, Lu Ping had control of the secret path to enter and exit Fei Ling Island. The cultivation resources on the island were almost at his disposal, so he was not in a hurry to exhaust the goose that laid the golden eggs. At the very least, as Ling Long was combing through the spirit veins of Fei Ling Mountain, she discovered a few more ore veins. Although they were not as valuable as mid-sized spirit stone mines, the ores contained within the ore veins were still quite good spiritual materials if they were refined. On this day, Lu Ping suddenly thought of something and called Ling Long out from the wine cauldron. He asked, although the spirit veins of Fei Ling Mountain have been severely damaged, there are still 7 large spirit veins. Could it be that no spirit amassing pearls have been produced in them for the past thousands of years? Ling Long thought for a moment and replied, there might be, but the spirit veins of Fei Ling Mountain have been in a state of disorder all these years. Even if there are, there wouldn't be too many. Hearing this, Lu Ping's expression naturally became joyful. He asked, then can you excavate these spirit amassing pearls through the spirit veins? Ling Long rolled her eyes and said, I don't have Lu Debao's ability. Otherwise, I would know if there are spirit amassing pearls in these 7 spirit veins. Lu Ping nodded his head in disappointment. Even if there were spirit amassing pearls in the spirit veins, not everyone had the ability to excavate them without destroying the spirit veins. Only Debao had this talent. However, Lu Ping was still a little unwilling to give up. He asked, then if I want to guide that mid-sized spirit stone mine into the House of Gold, do you think it's possible? Ling Long said gloomily, this Ling Long can indeed be of help, but are you sure that this strange heavenly abode magical item of yours can withstand the impact of the power of the earth veins of a mid-sized spirit stone mine? Moreover, back in the Ingtian dojo, it took 3 Dharma adepts to guide that mine, along with the help of core forging adepts like you. Are you sure that you can guide that mine into the House of Gold by yourself? Tongjian Laozu and Sanming Laozu were fine, but Jiang Tianlin Laozu's strength had required the help of the first 2. Guiding the spirit vein was not an easy task. However, at that time, there were a few other sects present and they could attack at any time. Jiang Tianlin Laozu had no choice but to cooperate with the other 2 sections. Now, it could be said that everything on Fei Ling Island was up to Lu Ping. Lu Ping could spend a few years to slowly move this spirit stone mine into the House of Gold. Lu Ping went to the House of Gold to ask Ruyu. Ruyu thought for a while and said, one of the important reasons why the treasure ship was able to pass through the stormy ocean and connect the two big cultivation worlds was that there was a large spirit vein in the treasure ship. Through a formation, it could be transformed into a continuous source of power for the treasure ship to move forward. Lu Ping said happily, "You're saying that you need a spirit vein to consolidate the space in the House of Gold?" Ruyu nodded and said, "That's right. If a spirit vein is led into Xiaogu Mountain, I can expand the power of the earth vein in Xiaogu Mountain after 2 years of recovery. In the end, the entire space in the House of Gold will be able to withstand the impact of the power of the earth vein when the medium spirit stone mine is led. However, the House of Gold is only a part of the treasure ship. At present, Xiaogu Mountain can only withstand one medium spirit vein." Lu Ping was overjoyed. He hurriedly used Linglong's help to separate a medium spirit vein from the main spirit vein of Fei Ling Mountain and led it into Xiaogu Mountain. After 2 years, Lu Ping had completely consolidated his cultivation. However, even with the help of Linglong and Ruyu, it still took Lu Ping 2 years to lead the medium spirit vein into the House of Gold. The price was that Ruyu, who had just recovered, fell into a weak state again. Lu Ping had to stay on top of Fei Ling Mountain for more than a year. After Ruyu recovered with the help of the main spirit vein, he left Fei Ling Island through the teleportation formation. Chapter 897. After a flash of light, Lu Ping appeared on the teleportation platform on the cliff of the underwater abyss. Originally, this stone platform could only be used to teleport blood condensation realm cultivators. But when Lu Ping was combing through the earth veins with Ling Long's help, he discovered the control board for the teleportation array formation in Fei Ling Mountain. After some slight modifications, Lu Ping could teleport to this stone platform through the control formation plate. Otherwise, Lu Ping would have to spend a top-grade spirit stone to teleport to the bottom of the abyss through the teleportation formation in the depths of the pool. At the same time, he would have to use a restriction breaking talisman to break the formation barrier and the restriction formation on the cave entrance. Only then would he be able to come out of the underwater abyss. However, if he wanted to enter Fei Ling Mountain again, Lu Ping would have to continue diving down to the bottom of the abyss. He would have to use the restriction breaking talisman to break open the secret cave entrance and use a top-grade spirit stone to teleport to Fei Ling Mountain. Because this teleportation stone platform was 5,000 feet deep in the underwater abyss, Lu Ping didn't feel too much pressure. He only needed to rely on the waterproof moon pearl to float all the way up. It didn't take long before he could see the sunlight shining through the surface of the sea. Seeing that he was about to reach the surface of the sea, Lu Ping was in a good mood. Unexpectedly, at this moment, a muffled bang came from the far east of the sea. Is that direction Earth Island? Lu Ping's heart shook. Lu Ping had spent 20 years in seclusion this time. Could it be that the matter of Earth Island hadn't been resolved yet? Lyra Laozu tightly pursed her lips. Her 7-colored flame outlined a huge 7-colored fire shield in the air, annihilating the golden light coming from the opposite side. The 7-colored fire shield immediately turned into a flaming saber. It flew up and was about to slash at the golden-robed, hideous man in front of it. Unexpectedly, at this moment, a fireball suddenly exploded beside Lyra Laozu. Helplessly, Lyra Laozu dispersed the flaming saber again and formed a flaming armor around himself. Haha! The golden-robed ugly man laughed wildly. He took advantage of Tianqin Laozu's distraction to block the exploding fireball to close in. A golden light in his hand transformed into a 3-foot-long spear. With a swing of his arm, the spear was once again thrown towards Tianqin Laozu. Tianqin Laozu had no choice but to retreat and dodge. At this moment, a huge primitive crocodile suddenly broke out of the water under Tianqin Laozu's feet. It opened its mouth and rushed towards Tianqin Laozu's feet. Lyra Laozu extended her foot and tapped on the crocodile's mouth, and her whole body floated upwards again. Unexpectedly, the crocodile's huge tail slapped the surface of the sea, and its whole body suddenly shot upwards, following closely behind Lyra Laozu. At this time, the golden spear in the golden-robed ugly man's hand flickered with a golden light, making Tianqin Laozu unable to figure out where the spear was going to stab. Helplessly, Tianqin Laozu could only retreat again. Just as she dodged the crocodile's attack, the golden spear suddenly extended forward by 3 feet. From a spear, it became a long spear, stabbing towards Tianqin Laozu. This time, Tianqin Laozu could not dodge, and could only try to avoid the vital parts of his body, relying on the flaming armor to block. Puchi! With a burst of sparks, Tianqin Laozu's flaming armor was pierced, and his left arm was pierced by the golden spear. Without waiting for blood to flow out, Tianqin Laozu's wound was ignited with a line of fire. When the line of fire was extinguished, the entire wound had already recovered. Tianqin, you bitch, you are no match for the old man. Let Jiang Tanlin come. The golden-robed ugly man laughed wildly, but his hands did not slow down at all. The golden spear in his hand became faster and faster, stabbing towards Tianqin Laozu's body. The primitive crocodile under his feet also stared at Tianqin Laozu. Every attack was able to greatly affect Tianqin Laozu. Although the primitive crocodile had no intelligence, its cultivation level was that of a Dharma phase, and its innate fire magic was not weak. With the man and the beast working together, Tianqin Laozu was actually forced to retreat. Tianqin Laozu blocked the attacks of the man in front of him and scolded, "Ao Chuang, you are so shameless. You are the owner of the Golden Jiao Dragon Island, and you are famous in the North Sea, but you are a person who relies on numbers to win. If you have the ability, fight me alone. What's the use of a crazy crocodile?" The golden-robed ugly man was the owner of the Golden Jiao Dragon Island, Ao Chuang. Back then, Ao Chuang went to the Jade Swamp to capture a Dharma phase primitive crocodile as his spiritual companion. Unexpectedly, Lu Ping and Sang Yu worked together to ruin his plans. In desperation, the Golden Jiao Dragon Laozu could only capture 2 crocodiles that had not yet reached the Dharma phase and bring them back to the North Sea. Unexpectedly, the Golden Jiao Dragon Laozu was quite lucky. Not long after, one of the crocodiles actually advanced to the Dharma phase. Although this crocodile was far inferior to the one that Sang Yu had subdued, it still greatly increased the Golden Jiao Dragon Laozu's battle strength. The Golden Jiao Dragon Laozu, who had been greatly affected by the rise of Feng Shutao and Jiang Tianlin, immediately regained his confidence. With this Dharma phase crocodile and the secret primordial crocodile clan companion spirit beast secret technique, the Golden Jiao Dragon Laozu was confident that he could even fight Feng Shutao, who was at the mid-Dharma phase. Jiang Tianlin was no longer his opponent. Of course, the Golden Jiao Dragon Laozu did not know that Jiang Tianlin Laozu had successfully passed through the first Dharma calamity. Otherwise, he would not have dared to be so arrogant. In reality, with the help of a Dharma phase companion spirit beast, the Golden Jiao Dragon Laozu's abilities had indeed improved greatly. At least this time, when he was facing Tianqin Laozu, he was able to completely suppress Tianqin Laozu. With the cooperation of the human and the beast, Tianqin Laozu was suppressed to the point where she could not fight back at all. Besides the battle between the Golden Jiao Dragon Laozu and Tianqin Laozu, there were more than 10 pairs of Dharma adepts fighting in the sky above Huanyu Island. Each pair was a human practitioner fighting against a demon Laozu. However, among these 10 pairs of battles, Tianqin Laozu and the Golden Jiao Dragon Laozu seemed to be on the losing end. Huanyu Island was the central island of the entire North Sea's cultivation world. Although there were almost no cultivation resources on this island, and the only spirit vein had been pooled together by various sects, its special geographical location had caused all the sects in the North Sea to set up a stronghold on Huanyu Island. Moreover, Huanyu Island was also the place where the North Sea's cultivation world's major teleportation matrices were set up. Thus, it had also become a distribution center for the various cultivation resources of the North Sea's cultivation world. All of these contributed to Huanyu Island's prosperity in the North Sea's cultivation world. However, at this time, Huanyu Island was no longer as prosperous as before. From afar, the entire island was filled with broken walls and ruins. There was not a single intact building. It was as if the entire island had experienced a huge earthquake. The low-lying areas around the island had traces of being attacked by the tsunami. In the center of Huanyu Island, a giant mountain that had never been there before pierced through the former Huanyu Island like a sharp sword, standing straight in the middle of the island. All of the buildings on Universe Island seemed to have been turned into ruins and deserted islands by the sudden appearance of this mountain. However, this huge mountain was currently emitting waves of pure spiritual energy in all directions. Clearly, this huge mountain was hiding an extremely high-quality spiritual vein. Explode! 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 Tianqin Laozu roared. The golden Jiao dragon Laozu pursued, but he did not know that he had fallen into an ambush that Tianqin Laozu had set up when he retreated. 3 rainbow-colored flames exploded around the golden Jiao dragon Laozu. The golden Jiao dragon cried out in pain, but he did not retreat. Instead, he advanced, thrusting his golden spear towards Tianqin Laozu's chest once again. With a clang, a copper cauldron flashed in front of Tianqin Laozu, and a clear dent appeared on the copper cauldron. Tianqin Laozu's face paled, and a mouthful of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. However, the golden Jiao dragon Laozu was not in a good state either. The 3 rainbow-colored flames exploded one after another, and the golden Jiao dragon Laozu's skin and flesh were lacerated by the spiritual flames that had reached the mid-grade of the heaven stage. However, the sinister smile that flashed across his face gave Tianqin Laozu a bad premonition. A gust of cold wind came from behind. Tianqin Laozu, who had been struck by the golden Jiao dragon Laozu's spear earlier, could not react for a moment. He thought to himself, not good. The flames all over his body flowed towards his back, wanting to forcefully receive the attack of the primordial fierce crocodile. This time, even if he did not die, he would be seriously injured. Just as this thought appeared in Tianqin Laozu's mind, he heard the whistle of a sword that almost tore through the void coming from behind him. Little thief, how dare you! The golden Jiao dragon Laozu, who had just retreated with one blow, suddenly changed his expression. His previously confident look suddenly became pale. Tianqin Laozu could not see the situation behind him, but he knew that there was help coming. He turned around and was about to join hands with the person to destroy the primordial fierce crocodile behind him. However, he saw 2 sword lights crisscrossing on the left and right. The huge crocodile's tail that was originally charging at Tianqin Laozu flew up into the sky, followed by a deafening scream. The blood of the primordial fierce crocodile, whose tail had been cut off, rushed out from behind him like a blood wave. The surrounding seawater instantly turned blood red. The primordial fierce crocodile turned around and was about to dive into the sea. Tianqin Laozu almost died. How could she allow this beast to escape? However, before she could make a move, the golden Jiao dragon Laozu, who had retreated, chased after her like a crazy demon. Tianqin Laozu's heart moved, and she blocked the golden Jiao dragon Laozu head-on. However, the golden Jiao dragon Laozu was desperate at this time. Tianqin Laozu retreated again and again, but she never let the golden Jiao dragon Laozu break through her obstruction. Another loud roar came from behind, but this time it came from the bottom of the sea. The primordial fierce crocodile that had just sunk to the bottom of the sea was suddenly entangled by the surrounding undercurrents. No matter how the primordial fierce crocodile struggled, its huge body involuntarily floated to the surface of the sea again. 4 huge water columns rose from the sea, and each water column had a water rope as thick as an arm. Each water rope was tied to a giant foot of the primordial fierce crocodile. The 4 water ropes were pulled tight, and the huge primordial fierce crocodile was pulled from the bottom of the sea to the surface of the sea. However, it could not get rid of the restraints of the water ropes, so it could only float in the air. The soaring sword energy came all the way to the west, and the sword light seemed to pierce through the sky. The sword light slashed down horizontally. The golden Jiao dragon Laozu's desperate attack finally repelled Tianqin Laozu's obstruction, but it could only stare with a pair of blood-red eyes and scream, "Little thief, so it's you." The huge crocodile's head suddenly fell from the body after the sword light flashed. The primordial fierce crocodile of the aspect stage was beheaded with one sword. Chapter 898. Little thief, so it's you. The charming autumn sword spun back, and a pair of hands suddenly reached out from the void, holding both swords tightly in their hands. Lu Ping took a step forward, and his whole body appeared in the sky above the sea. A five-colored cloak flashed behind him, and he looked coldly at the demon clan expert in front of him, who he had once fought in the Yingyu swamp. A Dharma manifestation stage primordial fierce crocodile was so easily killed by a peak core forging stage cultivator. The effect of this shock was unimaginable. The whole battlefield fell silent at the same time. More than 10 human and demon cultivators who were fighting all stopped, and the battlefield suddenly became strangely quiet. Dozens of pairs of eyes looked at Lu Ping, and unparalleled divine senses crisscrossed in the sky. The strong pressure of the Dharma manifestation tried to make Lu Ping show fear, but Lu Ping just stood there calmly, and the atmosphere created by countless people could not pose any pressure to Lu Ping. A cold snort exploded in Lu Ping's ears, and Lu Ping's cheeks twitched involuntarily. Why is it this again? It's really boring. But as soon as the cold snort fell, a hand also reached out from the void not far away. This hand looked abnormally thin, and it gently pushed Ao Chuang, the lord of Golden Jiao Island, who was opposite to Lu Ping. Suddenly, Ao Chuang felt as if he had suffered a heavy blow, and his chest and abdomen suddenly shrank. His whole body flew backward, and at the same time, a mouthful of blood also sprayed on the sea. Suddenly, a roar came from the distant sea. Tian Kong, you want to bully the weak? A tall and sturdy old man took a step forward and arrived in midair, just in time to catch Golden WM Island Lord as he flew past. He patted his back and found that Golden WM Island Lord had only suffered a shock to his abdomen, which could not be considered a serious injury. Only then did he let out a sigh of relief. However, his eyes were fixed on the place where the withered hand had been. Tian Kong Laozu walked out step by step from space, and he said, "It's just returning the favor. Ao Dian, you're getting more and more backward as you live." The burly Laozu Ao Dian's face turned ashen as he said, "Your Zhenling's disciples only know how to sneak attack. Are they all sneaky people?" Tian Kong Laozu chuckled and said, "The primordial giant crocodile clan is just a group that relies on numbers to win. We're the same." However, Tian Kong Laozu continued, "This junior of mine killed a Dharma stage ferocious beast with his core forging stage cultivation base. Even if it was a sneak attack, it's still a great achievement. This old man is very pleased." Ao Dian Laozu's face turned red, and the finger that was pointing at Tian Kong Laozu swung down with all his might. He let out a cold snort and turned around to glare at the Golden Jiao Dragon, who had just recovered from Tian Kong Laozu's attack. Who doesn't know that the water sword deity of your sect, spiritual master Lu Xianping, is an expert who can challenge Dharma adepts above his level? Even the elders of your sect were once beaten into a sorry state by him, with bruises all over their faces. To be able to defeat Ao Chuang's companion spirit beast is nothing to scoff at, let alone a sneak attack. A demon cultivator that was as strong as an iron tower spoke, his voice exploding in everyone's ears like a roar. This strong demon cultivator was the mid-Dharma stage demon cultivator that Tian Shui Laozu had met outside Huanyu Island, the giant whale demon king, Kong Jing. Fellow Taoist Kong Jing, you're wrong. I'm afraid none of you here are familiar with the huge gap between the core forging realm and the transcendence realm. Let me ask you, with such a huge gap, you're about to be killed by this little Taoist from Zhenling sect. You should feel ashamed. How can you have the face to criticize little Taoist Lu's sneak attack?" Kong Jing snorted coldly and said, "Brother Yujin is right. That Zhenling cultivator named Tian Shu should really commit suicide out of shame." The head of the Yujin sect, Yujin Laozu, only smiled slightly but did not say anything else. If someone were to take advantage of this and use it to instigate the relationship between the Yujin sect and Zhenling, it would be bad. As the two of them spoke, a few Dharma laws Laozu cultivators appeared from both sides. Lu Ping, who was watching from the side, sucked in a breath of cold air. They were actually all mid-Dharma laws Laozu cultivators. When Lu Ping was rushing over, he had noticed that there were people hiding in the void nearby, but he did not expect there to be so many of them. However, Lu Ping had noticed Tian Kong Laozu's aura. It seemed that because Tian Kong Laozu was about to be defeated, he wanted to make a move, which caused his aura to fluctuate slightly. It was also because he had confirmed that Tian Kong Laozu was here that Lu Ping dared to make a move so recklessly. Otherwise, Lu Ping would have used a safer method to help Tian Kong Laozu because of the cultivators hidden in the void. On the Zhenling side, Tian Kong Laozu was the leader. Tian Kong Laozu and Tianshan Laozu were 3 Dharma laws adepts. The other sects, such as Xianling sect and Songhai sect, also had their own Dharma laws adepts and their respective mid-Dharma laws Laozu cultivators. The demon race's Dharma laws adepts also gradually began to gather, and the mid-Dharma laws adepts who had been hiding in the void earlier also revealed themselves. However, after these mid-Dharma laws Laozu cultivators revealed themselves, they looked at Lu Ping with a strange look in their eyes. However, these Laozu cultivators hid their feelings very well. If it were not for the fact that Lu Ping's divine will was different from that of ordinary people, he would have thought that these human Dharma laws Laozu cultivators all approved of his actions this time. They were all people who hid daggers behind their smiles. Lu Ping knew that he had acted rashly this time, but Lu Ping did not regret it. His display of strength might have caused the enemy forces to secretly suppress him, but this was also an effective way to intimidate others. In fact, Tian Kong Laozu had also seen through this, which was why when Ao Dian Laozu had tried to use his divine will to attack Lu Ping, he had decisively attacked Ao Chuang, the owner of the Golden Dragon Island, and severely injured him. This was to serve as a warning to those who had ulterior motives. Lu Ping's appearance had actually eased the tension between the two sides. In the end, other than a few mid-Dharma laws Laozu who seemed to have something to discuss, even Tianqin Laozu and Tianshan Laozu had left temporarily. Seeing that there was nothing else for him to do, Lu Ping immediately wanted to return to Tianling Mountain. Unexpectedly, Tianqin Laozu said, "Kid, I haven't seen you for 20 years, and not only have your cultivation increased to the peak of the core forging realm, your strength has also increased to such a level. It seems that you have really achieved a 9th grade golden core." Lu Ping laughed and said, "Thank you for the compliment, Uncle Master." Tianshan Laozu, on the other hand, was deep in thought at the side. He said, "Nephew Lu, when you used your divine spells previously, most of them were used to suppress others. Although they were pure and heavy, the killing intent was not enough. This time, after the closed-door training, the divine swordsmanship was full of killing intent when used. It is said that the spiritual nature of the water from the thunder punishment is wild. After a cultivator melts it, his attack power will definitely increase greatly. It seems that it really lives up to its reputation." The Sky Zither Elder laughed mockingly. "He doesn't have enough murderous aura." Before he condensed the 9th grade golden elixir, countless Dharma adepts were either injured or killed by him. His murderous aura has long since reached the heavens. Tianshan Laozu laughed and said, "Of course, this is relatively speaking. Compared to himself, before he reached the peak of the core forging realm, his divine spells were more inclined to be pure and heavy. After he melted the water from the thunder punishment, he completely merged the two." Lu Ping did not want to talk too much about his own matters, so he asked with a smile, "Uncle Masters, who obtained Songhai Laozu's inheritance? Why has Huanyu Island become like this now? Could it be that it has been breached by the demon clan?" Tianqin Laozu laughed and scolded, "Can't you see the mountain peak rising from Huanyu Island? How could the demon clan have breached Huanyu Island?" Lu Ping spread out his hands and said, "I was just wondering when the demon clan produced such a master. Even with so many Dharma adepts guarding the place, he was able to perform such a powerful spell, and he even succeeded. This is much more powerful than moving mountains and filling the seas. Even Elder Tian Kong does not have this ability." Tianshan Laozu said, "It's because of Songhai Laozu's inheritance. Songhai Laozu's inheritance is not in the sea region that the demon clan has previously occupied. It is only a fake treasure. Although there are many good things in it, the real treasure is in Huanyu Island. What's funny is that ever since the destruction of Fei Ling Island, the North Sea practitioners have treated Huanyu Island as an island shared by all the sects in the North Sea, But no one has ever discovered that the real treasure that Songhai Laozu left behind is buried under Huanyu Island. It turned out that 2 years ago, after the demon clan had made sufficient preparations, they finally began to forcefully open Songhai Laozu's inheritance. Unexpectedly, the sea region that they had previously occupied was only a fake treasure to deceive people. Not only did the fake horde manage to fool the Yao clan, it also attracted the attention of the human clan cultivators. The two sides engaged in a chaotic battle and both sides managed to snatch some items from the horde. Naturally, the Yao clan took the majority of the spoils. Just as they were about to realize that something was amiss, the opening of the fake treasure trove triggered the appearance of Patriarch Vastsea's Real treasure trove. The real treasure trove was hidden within Universe Island. A massive mountain broke through the surface of Universe Island. At that very moment, however, the important cultivators on Universe Island had all left due to the competition in the outer seas. Only some minor cultivators were left on the island. Therefore, in the end, the strong earthquake caused by the rise of the giant peak turned the entire Huanyu Island into ruins. At the same time, the demon clan and the human clan began to fight over the ownership of Songhai Laozu's inheritance, and the conflict became more and more intense. By the time Lu Ping came out of seclusion, the scale of the conflict between the demon clan and the human clan had already expanded to the early Dharma stage practitioners. If not for Lu Ping's sudden appearance, perhaps the conflict would continue to escalate in the future. Not long after Lu Ping returned to Huangli Island, news came from the sect that the demon clan and the human clan had finally reached an agreement and were prepared to join forces to divide up Songhai Laozu's inheritance. Although the Songhai sect was extremely unwilling, when it came to dividing up the inheritance, the Songhai sect was completely alone. Even the Xianling sect, the Haiyan sect, and other allies were not willing to let the Songhai sect have the inheritance alone. On this day, Lu Ping placed the House of Gold on the spirit vein of the cave abode, and was helping Linglong connect the two mid-sized spirit veins on Huangli Island with one of the spirit veins in the House of Gold, so that the spirit qi of both parties could complement each other. At this moment, sixth brother Lei walked in mysteriously and said, "Someone is looking for you. Go and take a look." Chapter 899. After Lu Ping returned to Huangli Island, he immediately started moving the medium-sized spirit vein from the House of Gold to Huangli Island. Due to the spirit transfer formation and the jade-like artifact spirit that Jiao Yuqiang had set up back then, the spirit vein had almost run out of or in the past 4,000 years. Adding on the damage Lu Ping had suffered while moving the spirit vein, he would need to seal the spirit vein for a period of time in order to completely recover. Because this spirit vein was of great importance, Lu Ping didn't make it public and secretly moved it to an inconspicuous place not far from Lu Ping's cave abode. Sixth brother Lei directly opened up a cave abode nearby and secretly guarded the spirit vein. After hearing sixth brother Lei's mysterious words, Lu Ping couldn't help but be surprised. Who would want to see him outside? Half a day later, Lu Ping returned to the cave abode and gave some orders to Hu Lili and sixth brother Lei. Then, he sent someone to call Wang Qi and Tian Yu over. Before Wang Qi broke through to the core forging realm, he had been cultivating with Du Feng. Due to Lu Ping's intentional orders, Du Feng had suppressed Wang Qi's cultivation and prevented him from breaking through. This allowed Wang Qi to accumulate enough foundation in the blood condensation realm. After advancing to the core forging realm on Frost Island, Wang Qi's foundation was unleashed. In just a dozen or so years, Wang Qi's cultivation had broken through to the second level of the core forging realm. Tian Yu had also touched the threshold of the second level of the core forging realm. With the help of the medium-sized spirit vein on Huangli Island, he had also successfully entered the core forging realm. Right now, both of them were Lu Ping's disciples. Wang Qi was the first to break through to the core forging realm and become the first disciple of Hearing Wave Manor. Tian Yu was the second. Lu Ping brought the two of them to Heaven Spirit Mountain to meet his master, Lu Tianling, Laozu. The sect master of Heaven Spirit Mountain couldn't help but give his two grand disciples a gift that he had prepared beforehand. After the greetings, Lu Ping finally told his master the purpose of his visit. Lu Tianling Laozu frowned and said, Oh, these two disciples of yours have only been under your tutelage for a short while, haven't they? They've only learned a small portion of your abilities, yet you dare to throw one of them to the Middle Earth and the other to Frost Island? Lu Ping smiled and said, their experiences over the years have all been arranged by me. I have taught them a lot of what needs to be taught, and I have also provided them with a platform to hone themselves. As for how much they can learn, it will depend on their own efforts and luck. As the saying goes, if a jade is not polished, it will not be useful. If they think that they are unpolished jade, they will not worry about their own futures. Lu Tianling Laozu looked at the two grand disciples, Wang Qi and Tianyu. Seeing that they both had a well-thought-out expression, he smiled and said, it seems that I, as the Grandmaster, am being unreasonable. Fine, since you have already arranged everything, then let's go according to your plan. After a moment of silence, Lu Tianling Laozu continued, after a while, your senior uncle Tianqin will go to the Middle Earth to replace your senior uncle Tianfeng. Junior nephew Xianfang will also come back. This way, Yingshanside Courtyard will have one less pill master, and Xianyu can go to Yingshanside Courtyard to fill the gap. As for Xianqi, she should still follow Xianfeng. Mara's attacks on Frost Island are becoming more frequent and intense, so a big battle is likely to be unavoidable. Frost Island is too important to the cultivation world of North Sea, so North Sea will definitely go all out. You just need to be careful when you get there. Wang Qi and Tianyu thanked the Grandmaster and were about to leave the Palace of Repetition Beauty when they saw Lu Ping take out 2 storage pouches and say, these are some of the things you will need for your daily cultivation. Use them as you see fit. After passing the storage pouches to the two of them, Lu Ping looked at Tianyu and said, that spirit explosion art can be considered a secret alchemy technique of mine. You need to practice it seriously. It is not easy to obtain the purple crystal royal jelly, so you must use it carefully. In the Middle Earth, other than yourself, do not let anyone know that you have such a treasure on you. Otherwise, there will be a great disaster. The Middle Earth is filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons, so don't be restricted to a corner of Yingshanside Courtyard. Then, Lu Ping looked at Wang Qi and said, although the cultivation method you've been cultivating is not bad in our sect, it's still far from being comparable to our sect's 5 true inheritances. Cultivate the jade scroll I gave you on Frost Island seriously. The metal elemental cultivation method in it is no weaker than our sect's 5 true inheritances. If you're lucky enough in the future, you might even be able to reach the Grand Cultivator realm. Of course, if you become complacent just because you've become my disciple, I don't mind expelling you two from the sect. After a round of admonishment, Lu Ping sent the two of them out. When he turned around, he saw Lu Tianling looking at him with a smile and said, not bad. This teacher has done a good job combining strength and gentleness. Did you enjoy it? Lu Ping said honestly, I won't hide it from you, teacher. I was just pretending, but it was indeed very tiring. I do envy your 9 disciples, including Sister Xianxian. They have all been taught by teacher to such an extent. In this aspect, I am far inferior. Lu Tianling Laozu smiled, then his face darkened. He said, this time I did not intend to let you participate, but you insisted on coming. Although your current strength can even kill Dharma adepts, there are mid-Dharma adepts from various sects participating in this trip to the vast sea treasure. Who knows, there might be people with ulterior motives who will go after you. Lu Ping nodded and said, I understand. Don't worry, teacher. What's more, Elder Tung Kong is going with me this time, so there's nothing for me to worry about. Lu Tianling Laozu smiled and said, you're a smart one. However, this time when you enter the vast sea treasure, you have to be especially careful of the primordial crocodile clan practitioners. You killed the golden serpent Laozu's spirit companion beast, and his son, daughter, and adopted son also died by your hands. It can be said that there is an irreconcilable hatred between you and him. Lu Ping stepped on the ocean-crossing boat and sped all the way to a deserted island near Huanyu Island. Tiankong Laozu had already been waiting there for a long time. Because the buildings on Huanyu Island had all collapsed because of the vast sea treasure that had suddenly been unearthed, the practitioners of the various sects had no place to stay. In addition, the sects and the North Sea Demon Clan had to keep an eye on each other, so the practitioners of the various sects had settled on the deserted islands and coral islands near Huanyu Island. When Tiankong Laozu saw Lu Ping coming, he couldn't help but frown and say, "This time, the various sects set the rules for entering the vast sea treasure, requiring each sect to only allow one mid-dharma adept to bring one core forging disciple. The sects of the North Sea and the Demon Clan knew that your strength far exceeds that of a core forging cultivator of the same level, but they still set such a rule. The old man sensed that this was aimed at you, so the old man specially informed the sect leader that you're not allowed to come. I didn't think that you'd come yourself." Lu Ping smiled and said, "We still don't know what the situation inside the vast sea treasure is like, and the sects can't possibly come just for their disciples. As long as these people focus their energy on the vast sea treasure, then anything can happen. Furthermore, it won't be that easy for them to take the lives of their disciples." Tiankong Laozu laughed and said, "Looks like the old man is really getting old. I can't stand the vigor of you youngsters." "Fine, although the old man doesn't have long to live, other than the Dharma adepts, these people are nothing to the old man. This time, I'll let the old man go crazy with you." When Lu Ping saw Tiankong Laozu's wizened and old face, he sighed in dissatisfaction. Tiankong Laozu was originally the youngest disciple among the first generation of disciples that Zhenling had reached the Dharma stage. His talent in training was not below that of Tian Xiang Laozu. Originally, Zhenling had high hopes for him, but after being schemed against by Xianling's sect, his foundation was damaged, and he could only use longevity pills to prolong his life. Fortunately, Tiankong Laozu took the opportunity to break through to the mid-dharma stage, which prolonged his lifespan by 200 years. Now, he only had 70 to 80 years left. Although Tiankong Laozu's words were passionate, Lu Ping could hear the love and concern in them. Obviously, Tiankong Laozu was willing to risk his life to protect Lu Ping. Lu Ping was touched, but he maintained a smile on his face and said, "You worry too much, Uncle Master. Uncle Master also knows that I have obtained many good things during my travels, including the Wonder Dew of 10,000 and the formula for the 30-year longevity pill. I have previously used the Wonder Dew of 10,000 to refine a 15-year longevity pill. This time, with the breakthrough in my training, I am confident that I can also refine a 20-year longevity pill. If I continue to practice my alchemy skills, when I can refine a 30-year longevity pill, I can consume 3 longevity pills. Even if I can't extend my lifespan by 90 years, I can at least extend it by 60 to 70 years." Seeing that Tiankong Laozu was only calmly listening to Lu Ping with a smile, Lu Ping continued, "If you have this 130 to 140 years buffer, Uncle Master might be able to break through to the late Dharma stage. If you can really overcome the second Thunder Trial and become the second Grand Practitioner of our sect, not only will there be hope for our sect to become a large sect, but you will also be able to extend your lifespan by another 200 years. After listening to Lu Ping, Tiankong Laozu laughed loudly and said, "You are an interesting kid, but these are all your own assumptions. The old man knows his own body very well. In these hundreds of years since he entered the mid-dharma stage, the old man's training has not improved at all. This is a state where his body has aged to its limit. No matter how many longevity pills he has, he will only be able to prolong his life, let alone become a grand practitioner." Lu Ping could not help but feel anxious and said, "No matter what, we have to give it a try. Moreover, I have..." Tiankong Laozu waved his hand, intending to interrupt Lu Ping's words, and said, "There is no need to try. Even if the power of your 7 treasures Thunder Calabash is 10 times stronger, it will not be able to help the old man overcome the Thunder Trial. Let me put it this way, with the current state of the old man, I am afraid that he will not even be able to summon the Thunder Trial, so how will he overcome it?" Lu Ping originally wanted to say something, but he heard Tiankong Laozu say, "The demons and the Songhai sect have already begun to move. We should follow them as well. We cannot fall behind. After all, this treasure was created by Songhai Laozu alone. Even if there are good things in it, there cannot be too much. When the time comes, it will inevitably be a chaotic battle." Lu Ping said strangely, "Although this treasure has been unearthed, the formation prohibition is intact. How will the cultivators of the various sects break it? Are they going to break it by force? Tiankong Laozu said with a smile, isn't it a forced breakthrough? This kind of large protective formation supported by the spiritual vein is different from those prohibition formations. Even the effect of the restriction breaking talisman on it is limited. The demon race has prepared for many years. Maybe there is a way. The Songhai sect also has a thin water sword. Although it is not the complete thin water sword that can be used as the key, it should be quite effective in breaking the formation. Tiankong Laozu saw Lu Ping's thoughtful expression and thought that he was worried that his sect's progress would fall behind the other sects, so he said with a smile, our sect may not be slower than the others. Look at this. An exquisite axe the size of a palm flashed in Tiankong Laozu's palm. It was the second disaster spiritual treasure mountain splitting axe from the Ying Tian dojo. Lu Ping suddenly laughed and said, Martial uncle, maybe our progress can go ahead of the Songhai sect. After saying that, under the surprised gaze of Tiankong Laozu, the light of the long flowing sword also flashed in Lu Ping's hand. Chapter 900. The sudden appearance of the Changlu sword surprised Tiankong Laozu, but Laozu did not ask about the origin of the flying sword. He only said, it really is Duobao boy. No wonder you were so eager to come this time. Lu Ping followed behind Laozu, and the two of them arrived at the foot of Huanyu Island's lone peak. At this time, Laozu from various sects had already surrounded the lone peak from all directions. There were mid-Dharma Laozu everywhere, so Lu Ping did not dare to use his divine will unscrupulously. He could only use his eyes to look around. He only saw that the two sects on his left and right were the giant whale demon king Kong Jing from the North Sea Abyss. Behind him was a similarly burly core forging adept, but this late core forging adept was a size smaller than Kong Jing. On the other side was the Sea Flame sect's mid-Dharma adept, Hai Hun Laozu. Behind him was also a late core forging adept. Although Lu Ping did not use his divine will, Tiankong Laozu did not have such scruples. After a while, he said, it seems that there will be a fierce battle. The Songhai sect sent Dongi Laozu this time. Shenling sect sent Feng Shutao, and the primordial crocodile clan sent Ao Dian. Lu Ping thought about it and said, will these sects join forces? Old Ancestor Heavenly Peace shook his head and said, they naturally won't join hands. After all, the crime of colluding with the demon race isn't something that these few sects can bear. Our sect's abilities are extremely strong now, so not only will it not help the situation if I die, it will even incite an intense counterattack from our sect. However, a sneak attack from the dark is unavoidable. Especially you, they won't let you continue to grow. A muffled sound was heard. Tiankong Laozu said, that Songhai sect can't wait to make the first move. As soon as Tiankong Laozu's voice faded, a few sounds rang out in succession. The other sects and the demon race also began to break the array formations they were facing. Tiankong Laozu tossed the mountain-splitting axe into the size of an axe. Tiankong Laozu held it in his hand and smashed it towards the array in front of him. With a loud rumbling sound, the spirit array barrier in a radius of several hundred feet began to shake violently, and cracks of various sizes appeared on the barrier wall in front of the two. Numerous divine wills were directed towards Tiankong Laozu and Lu Ping. Clearly, it was because Tiankong Laozu had caused too much of a commotion using the mountain-splitting hoe. Tiankong Laozu stretched out his hand and waved it around. An invisible spirit array spread out in the air. The divine wills that came from all directions were all blocked outside the spirit array. Tiankong Laozu clearly did not want to expose the existence of the mountain-splitting axe. After Tiankong Laozu blocked the surrounding divine wills, he said, I miscalculated. I didn't expect the power of the mountain-splitting axe to be so strong. When Tiankong Laozu set up the spirit array barrier, Lu Ping had already taken out his flowing sword. With a sound, the flowing sword pierced the densest part of the cracks created by the mountain-splitting axe. In an instant, half of the sword blade went in. Tiankong Laozu shouted, at first glance, this flying sword is comparable to a spirit treasure like the mountain-splitting axe. It is said that the thin water-flowing sword is the key left behind by Songhai Laozu in the past. It seems that it truly lives up to its reputation. Lu Ping used the long stream sword to carve out a fist-sized hole in the protective array formation. Then he sheathed the sword. With this hole, with the mountain-splitting axe's power, it would be easy for him to continue expanding the array formation. Without waiting for the formation to restore the hole, old ancestor Tian Kang's mountain-splitting battle axe smashed onto it for the second time. After another violent tremor, this fist-sized hole had already expanded to the size of half a foot. With a thought, Lu Ping used the beautiful autumn dew sword in an attempt to expand the hole. However, the effect was minimal. It was only able to prevent the hole from restoring itself. Tian Kong Laozu chopped the third time, and the hole was once again widened. Lu Ping used both his hands to form dozens of seals. These were the seals that Lu Ping learned from the purple jade slip. However, the effect was still not great. Lu Ping could only give up. However, he didn't know that his next two attacks also surprised Tian Kong Laozu. The pair of beautiful autumn dew swords were only magic treasures that were condensed with 7 seals. They were not like the flowing sword, which was left behind by Songhai Laozu to break the spirit array. However, in the hands of Lu Ping, he was still able to suppress the spirit array that was rapidly restoring itself. After that, he executed the dozens of restriction-breaking spells and similarly suppressed the restoration of the formation. One had to know that restriction-breaking spells were already extremely hard to learn. Even though they weren't as precious as the inheritance of restriction-breaking talismans, they were still hard to learn and even harder to master. Forefather Tian Kong didn't expect Lu Ping to actually have such a deep understanding of restriction-breaking spells. In the whole of Zhenling, only Liang Tianfeng Laozu had such a deep understanding of seals. This time, if the demon race hadn't strongly requested for a mid-dharma adept to bring along a core forging adept, Zhenling might have called Tianfeng Laozu back from Central Plains. When Tian Kong Laozu smashed the 4th time, the whole hole was big enough for 2 people to go in. A strong spiritual aura spewed out from the hole. Tian Kong Laozu took a deep breath and said, "Not bad, there is at least a large spiritual vein supporting the operation of the spirit array. No wonder it was so troublesome to break it." Lu Ping stretched out his index finger and drew a circle in front of the opened hole. A space hole opened, and a few purple crystal bees flew into the lonely peak from the hole. Lu Ping saw that the purple crystal bees were safe and sound, then said, "Uncle Master, I will go in first." Tian Kong Laozu saw that Lu Ping went into the hole first, shook his head, and said, using purple crystal bees to explore the way, "This is the first time in the world of cultivation." In front of them was a spiritual herb garden. Because the lonely peak was too straight, the area of the spiritual herb garden was not very big. However, there were a lot of 3,000-year-old spiritual herbs in it. Lu Ping waved his hand and released a swarm of bees to fly in the spiritual herb garden. Then he picked the most valuable hundreds of 3,000-year-old spiritual herbs. At the same time, he also collected many spiritual herb seeds that were extremely rare in the world of cultivation. After that, he stopped. When he looked up, he found that Tian Kong Laozu was still working hard to collect these spiritual herbs. Different from Lu Ping's picking, Tian Kong Laozu used a carpet collection method, trying to not let go of a single spiritual herb. Lu Ping smiled and said, "Uncle Master, let's go up quickly, or we may fall behind." Tian Kong Laozu was quite reluctant to look at the spiritual herb garden here, but he also knew that what Lu Ping said was the truth. He just said, "It's a pity for this spiritual herb garden. I don't know if this place can be preserved when the battle starts." Back on Fei Ling Island, Lu Ping had already seen the 3,000-year-old spirit herb gardens of large sections. Not to mention, the spirit herbs there were all up to Lu Ping's whims. Naturally, this small spirit herb garden was no longer a rare sight. The relic left by Songhai Laozu, in addition to the mountain guarding formation that completely surrounded the entire lonely peak, was also divided into many areas, and each area was separated by a formation. Only by breaking through these formations could one break into a new area. Tian Kong Laozu and Lu Ping, one with a battle axe and the other with a sword, cooperated with each other. Often, Lu Ping used the Changlu sword's ability to break formations to first open a hole in the formation shield, and then Tian Kong Laozu used the tyrannical power of the mountain-splitting axe to expand the gap, gradually forming a gap that was big enough for two people to enter. The two people joined forces and moved forward at an extremely fast speed. It could be described as a rampage. In the blink of an eye, they had broken through the third formation shield. This place looked like a warehouse, but the things inside were not very good. Presumably, they were the things that Songhai Laozu had casually thrown away in the past. Most of them were ordinary magic tools, spiritual materials, and the like. Lu Ping and Tian Kong Laozu collected these things while asking Linglong's wine cauldron in the core space, "Linglong, there is a large spiritual vein here. Do you have a way to control it first?" Linglong's hands grasped the edge of the wine cauldron and took a deep breath. Suddenly, two streams of rich purple qi flew out from the Dan Xia and entered Linglong's body through Linglong's nostrils. Linglong narrowed her eyes in extreme comfort, like a drug addict. Since Lu Ping had advanced to the peak of core forging, Linglong had become more dependent on Lu Ping's jinqi and was no longer as picky as before. Hearing Lu Ping's question, she lazily said, "Linglong has no way, unless you can find a place that is connected to an earth vein, a spirit vein, or a mineral vein. Only then may it be possible to establish a connection with a large spiritual vein along the earth vein. But at most, you can only influence a large spiritual vein. A large spiritual vein is not so easy to control unless you can find the source of the large spiritual vein." Lu Ping said helplessly, "Then forget it." Lu Ping saw that Tian Kong Laozu had already collected everything that could be collected, and the two of them began to crack the fourth protective array. The fourth protective wall was already at the waist of the lone peak. Behind the protective wall floated a dozen or so mystic treasures. Lu Ping scanned through them with his divine will and found that most of them were below the level of spirit-connecting mystic treasures. Lu Ping wasn't interested in them at all. On the other hand, Patriarch Tian Kong continued to suppress the mystic treasures one by one and put them away. At this time, Linglong said in the core space, "Maybe you can let Debao out and see if he can find anything." Lu Ping said, "These are all mid-Dharma Laozu, and Debao's earth escape may not be able to hide from them. Moreover, these arrays are all over the Lonely Peak, and the underground has also been infiltrated. Debao will be in great danger if he goes down. What if he cooperates with me?" Linglong made a solemn vow in the core space. Tian Kong Laozu put away all the treasures, and turned to see Lu Ping release a fat, gray-skinned rat from the spiritual beast bag at his waist. Tian Kong Laozu said in surprise, "This is the spirit-seeking rat under you?" Immediately, Tian Kong Laozu continued, "The underground here is also full of prohibitions. Its cultivation is too low, and its strength is too weak. Don't take the risk. It is not easy to train a spirit-seeking rat to this level." Lu Ping smiled and said, "Don't worry, Uncle Master. This guy is very cunning and will never go to dangerous places." Chapter 901. This time, the human and demon clans worked together to excavate vast Ocean Laozu's treasure. If there was anyone who was most unwilling, it would be the Songhai sect. The Songhai sect had always regarded vast Ocean Laozu's treasure as their own. Therefore, they had been diligently searching for the whereabouts of the thin water flowing sword. For this reason, the Songhai sect and Songlang sect were reunited. Together with Zhenling sect and Xianling sect, they once again formed a tripartite alliance in the North Sea. However, before the Songhai sect could retrieve the long water-flowing sword, the demon clan had somehow confirmed the location of vast Ocean Laozu's treasure. This caused the entire Songhai sect to panic. How could the Songhai sect, which had always regarded vast Ocean Laozu's treasure as their own, allow others to touch it? Therefore, in the following years of fighting against the demon clan outside Huanyu Island, the demon clan contributed the most. However, the Songhai sect's performance only strengthened the demon clan and the North Sea sect's belief in vast Ocean Laozu's treasure. For a time, the North Sea sects, which were originally meant to resist the demon clan, began to have their own plans. Naturally, They all had different ideas about vast ocean Laozu's treasure. The Songhai sect cultivator who came with Dongyi Laozu was Zhang Shi's disciple. This disciple was also at the peak of core forging. He was one of the best among the Songhai sect's third-generation disciples. He was also a seedling that the Songhai sect focused on cultivating to advance to the Dharma manifestation stage in the future. Just like how they cultivated Zhang Shi back then, the Songhai sect always liked to place their best disciples in the dark, hoping that they could avoid the eyes of other sects and grow up safely. Dongyi Laozu did not use the thin water-flowing sword. Instead, he used a treasure that looked like an iron medallion. This black iron medallion had 2 words written on it, Tiao Hai. Dongyi Laozu swung the iron medallion in his hand forward. A fine black water rushed out of the medallion and then split into 9. In the blink of an eye, 9 small holes were drilled into the protective wall in front of them. The 9 holes were distributed in a circular pattern, and after each hole was opened, the protective array formation did not begin to recover. At this moment, a flying sword flew out from Zhang Shi's disciple's hand and slashed at the array formation barrier. It cut through the barrier between the 2 small holes and connected the 2 holes together. Wasn't that flying sword the thin water sword or something else? The disciple slashed out 8 times in a row, cutting through the protective wall between the 9 circular holes. This way, the 9 holes formed a hole. Then, with a flying kick, the isolated protective wall was kicked away, forming a circular hole. If Lu Ping was here, he would definitely be surprised that not only was this disciple's swordsmanship exquisite, he also seemed to have mastered some secret method. The power of the thin water-flowing sword in his hands far exceeded the power of Lu Ping's flowing sword. However, the amount of vital energy consumed was far less than Lu Ping's. Dongyi Laozu saw the hole open and smiled. This is already the 5th protective wall broken. According to previous estimates, we are already past the halfway point of the mountain. We only need to break through 2 or 3 protective walls to reach the top of the lonely peak. Dongyi Laozu then looked at the disciple wielding the thin water sword and smiled. Zhou Tong, your swordsmanship is getting more and more exquisite. It seems that this time your teacher really came prepared when he recommended you to me. Letting you wield the thin water sword is also the right choice. The disciple called Zhou Tong took back the thin water sword and said, Grand Master, how is my swordsmanship compared to that Lu Xianping? Elder Ancestor Dongyi was taken aback. He let out an imperceptible sigh. He turned around and smiled. The path of cultivation is still long. Whoever reaches the end will be the victor. Being strong now doesn't mean you will be strong in the future. Zhou Tong frowned. Dongyi Laozu didn't say it explicitly, but Zhou Tong could hear the meaning in Dongyi Laozu's words. At least for now, he still couldn't compare to that water sword immortal. Dongyi Laozu saw that Zhou Tong's expression didn't ease up and was afraid that he would have a knot in his heart. This Zhou Tong was one of the top 3rd-generation disciples of Songhai sect. The future of Songhai sect might depend on them. So he said, the cultivation world is full of danger. Those geniuses who die prematurely are never true geniuses. Lu Xianping, this person is too sharp. Zhou Tong naturally understood the meaning in Dongyi Laozu's words. He raised an eyebrow and said, Grand Master, are you saying that someone wants to kill him? Primordial crocodiles Ao Dian, Xianling sect's Feng Shutao, who doesn't want this future star of Xinling to die? Even the old man will not hesitate to kill him when the time comes. Dongyi Laozu's murderous words made Zhou Tong's heart palpitate. Dongyi Laozu turned to look at Zhou Tong and said, by the same logic, if there is a chance, you will also be a target for others to kill. So in Founder Songhai's cave abode, it's best that you don't leave his sight. As the 2 of them walked into the 5th barrier, a dull sound suddenly came from not far away. Dongyi Laozu's footsteps paused. He said in surprise, someone is starting to break the 5th barrier? Could it be the demons? They've been preparing for so long. Could it be that the Changlu sword is really in the hands of the demons? Zhou Tong saw a spirit-nurturing grade artifact floating in the middle of the barrier. He hurried forward to subdue it. After hearing Dongyi Laozu's words, he asked, Grand Master, what treasures will be in Founder Songhai's cave abode? Why would the demons spend so much time preparing for this? Dongyi Laozu thought for a moment. He felt that this matter was no longer a secret, so he asked, "Do you know about the 3 treasures of the Songhai?" Zhou Tong looked in surprise at the black metal token in Dongyi Laozu's hand. He said, "This disciple knows. The 3 treasures of the Songhai are the Sea Transfer Token, the Songhai Bell, and the Cloud Sail. They are the 3 spiritual treasures that founder Songhai used to dominate the North Sea cultivation world." Dongyi Laozu smiled. "That's right. The Sea Transfer Token has always been passed down in our sect. It's in the hands of the old man. Of the other 2, at least the Songhai Bell is in this relic. 1 spiritual treasure is enough for the demons to plot for so long. Moreover, Laozu's relic doesn't only have these things. Just the large spirit vein in this lone peak is enough for the sects of the North Sea to fight to the death." As he spoke, Patriarch Dongyi pointed the sea-transferring medallion at the spirit-nurturing Dharma treasure that resembled a horsetail whisk. The violently trembling Dharma treasure suddenly stopped. Zhou Tong took the opportunity to put it away and heard Patriarch Dongyi say with a laugh, "Your luck is not bad. This Dharma treasure has 7 treasure seals. But we have to speed up. The others are not too far behind us." Zhou Tong used the thin water sword to help Dongyi Laozu continue to break the 6th barrier's restriction. At the same time, he asked, "Grand Master, there is one thing that disciple doesn't understand. Since founder Songhai founded our sect, why is his relic not in our sect, but in a place that even we don't know about?" Zhou Tong's question seemed to make Dongyi Laozu feel very embarrassed. In the end, he just said vaguely, "Even our ancestor Laozu didn't know about this. Maybe founder Songhai had other difficulties." Tian Kong Laozu and Lu Ping were just about to break the 5th barrier when they heard a roar from afar. Tian Kong Laozu frowned and said, "Someone has entered the 5th barrier before us. I don't know if it's the demon race or Songhai sect." Lu Ping frowned and raised the flowing sword. He pierced 2 fist-sized holes in the protective wall that Laozu had cracked. He said, "It should be Songhai sect. I always feel that there is a part of the flowing sword's power that hasn't been unleashed. And this hidden power seems to be specially designed to deal with this relic. Only Songhai sect's inherited secret technique can activate it. That Songhai sect can use the thin water sword's restraining function to the greatest extent. As long as the swordsman isn't too weak, he might be even more powerful than me." Tian Kong Laozu nodded and said, "That's nothing." But this time, Dong Yi's arrival reminded the old man of a legend about the magic treasure that Songhai Laozu used to roam the North Sea. Lu Ping blinked and said, "The 3 treasures of the Songhai, the Sea Transfer Order, the Songhai Bell, and the Cloud Sail?" Tian Kong Laozu nodded and said, "Each of these 3 treasures is only a first tribulation spiritual treasure. But when they combine, their power is even greater than a second tribulation spiritual treasure. Among them, only the Songhai Bell is Songhai Laozu's true spiritual treasure. It's also the most powerful treasure among the 3 treasures." Lu Ping had heard of the Tianxian sect's, Songhai Laozu's 7 folding fans. When they combine, they are more powerful than a second tribulation spiritual treasure. And Songhai Laozu has been planning to make them go through the 2nd thunder tribulation. So when they combine, even a pure yang spiritual treasure that has gone through the 3rd thunder tribulation may not be a match for it. Therefore, when Lu Ping heard Tian Kong Laozu mention the 3 treasures of the Songhai, Lu Ping was not surprised. He just asked, "Martial Uncle Master, do you mean that these 3 treasures are in Songhai Laozu's inheritance?" Tian Kong Laozu shook his head and said, "No, at least the sea-transferring order has always been in the hands of Songhai sect. And Dongyi Laozu is in charge of the sea-transferring order in this generation of Songhai sect. The spiritual treasures in this inheritance may be the Songhai Bell and the Tsang Yunfan. But it's said that Tsang Yunfan has been given away by Songhai Laozu. I don't know whether it's true or not." The 2 broke the 6th barrier. Tian Kong Laozu finally smiled and said, "Finally, my luck has changed. I've come across some good things." But as soon as Tian Kong Laozu's voice fell, a loud noise came from the other side of this space. Old ancestor Tian Kong and Lu Ping looked at each other, and both of them quickly went forward to suppress the two glossy green ghost fires that were chasing each other in midair. Just before the protective wall shattered, old ancestor Tian Kong had already put away the ghost spirit fires and started to be on guard against the incoming people. Clatter! The wall was completely destroyed, and two burly men walked into the wall one after another. They happened to see Lu Ping putting away a strange green flame into his space pouch. Chapter 902. So it's fellow Taoist Tian Kong. The newcomer laughed, but when he saw the will-o-wisp disappear from Lu Ping's hand, his eyes narrowed. His ferocious aura and loud laughter caused the surrounding walls to vibrate. Demon King Kong, you seem to have gone in the wrong direction. That's why you're late. Tian Kong Laozu smiled. The newcomer was the great whale demon King Kong Jing, Laozu. The burly man standing behind him looked very similar to Kong Jing, but his physique was slightly smaller than Kong Jing. Just as Kong Jing and Tian Kong Laozu were confronting each other, Kong Jing looked at Lu Ping with surging battle intent. Lu Ping, on the other hand, stood quietly behind old ancestor Tian Kong, his deep gaze fixed on Monster King Kong Jing. He basically ignored the core forging monster cultivator's provocation. Demon King Kong Jing and old ancestor Tian Kong looked at each other silently for a moment. Suddenly, a smile appeared on Demon King Kong Jing's face, and he said, "We have indeed come to the wrong place. Dao friend Tian Kong, please forgive us." Tian Kong Laozu also smiled and said, "The higher you go, the narrower the lonely peak becomes. It's inevitable that Demon King Kong made a mistake." Kong Jing shifted his gaze to Lu Ping and said, "You must be the famous water sword immortal, fellow Taoist Lu Xianping?" Monster King Kong Jing addressed Lu Ping as fellow Taoist, clearly putting Lu Ping on the same level as himself. Although the humans and monsters were enemies, it was precisely because of this that Monster King Kong Jing's words elevated Lu Ping's status even higher. A person's value could only be fully reflected by the opponent's affirmation. Therefore, not only did Lu Ping feel flattered by Kong Jing's action, even Tian Kong Laozu was surprised. Lu Ping quickly said, "I don't deserve to be called a fellow Taoist. I am Lu Xianping." Not bad indeed. I just don't know if you can come out of this battle alive. Fellow Taoist Aodian has always been thinking about you, little friend. Kong Jing nodded approvingly and said, not bad indeed." After Demon Monarch Kong Jing finished speaking, he actually brought the core forging stage giant whale demon back through the open passageway. Lu Ping drew a hand seal in front of him and slapped it on the protective barrier where Kong Jing and the others had left. The damaged protective barrier that was shrinking instantly doubled in size, and in just a few moments, it was as good as new. This Demon King Kong Jing is quite interesting. He's quite ambitious. Old ancestor Tian Kong said thoughtfully as he glanced at the battle technique barrier that Lu Ping had repaired and was in perfect condition. Lu Ping thought for a moment and said, "Grand Uncle Master, what did Kong Jing say to you just now?" Tian Kong Laozu looked at Lu Ping in surprise and said, "You can sense our secret voice transmission just now." Lu Ping nodded and said, "I can only sense your conversation, but I can't know what you are talking about." Tian Kong Laozu praised, "I didn't expect your divine sense to be no weaker than the old man." No wonder. On the other side of the array formation, after Demon Monarch Kong Jing and the other whale demon passed through the array formation, Demon Monarch Kong Jing looked at the rapidly recovering array formation in silence. The moment the barrier wall recovered, Kong Jing suddenly said, "You don't seem to be convinced?" The giant whale demon behind Kong Jing said, "Father seems to think too highly of Lu Xianping." Kong Jing didn't seem surprised at all. He just said indifferently, "You want to challenge him?" The giant whale demon hesitated for a moment and finally nodded. Demon Monarch Kong Jing walked towards another stronghold. He said coldly, "You're courting death." The giant whale demon's face turned red. Seeing that Demon King Kong Jing was about to break the protective formation, he quickly stepped forward and said, "Even if I'm not Lu Xuanping's match, what about Tian Kong? He's just a man who was lucky enough to live for a few years. With father's cultivation at the peak of the mid-Dharma stage, you can definitely defeat Tian Kong. How could you let the two of them take the jade phosphorus ghost fires? Those are two low-grade heaven-level spiritual fires, and they are exactly what the giant whale tribe needs. Why do you think? Kong Jing Laozu stopped the skyquake hammer he had just taken out and suddenly turned to look at the giant whale demon behind him. He shouted, "If I try to snatch them, you will be the first to die. How many moves do you think you can take from Lu Shenping?" The giant whale demon was stunned by his father's roar and could only stare blankly at the giant whale demon king in front of him. Seeing his son like this, Kong Jing couldn't help but sigh in his heart. This son of mine has been in the deep-sea demon territory for too long. Although his cultivation isn't too bad, it can only be described as not too bad compared to Lu Shenping. His brain is really too simple. It looks like it's time to let him go out and train by himself. Lu Ping controlled the flowing sword to help Tian Kong Laozu expand the small hole in the sixth barrier wall. He said, "From what Kong Jing said, it seems that Ao Dian wants to harm me. But why did he warn me like this? Could it be that the giant whale tribe and the primordial giant crocodile are enemies?" Old ancestor Tian Kong shook his head with a smile and said, "It's not a grudge, it's just that the giant whale demon race has thoughts of replacing him. That's why I said that Demon King Kong Jing's ambition is not small." Lu Ping was surprised. He said, "The giant whale demon tribe is a match for the primordial giant crocodile? Did Demon King Kong Jing discuss this with you, Uncle Master?" Tian Kong Laozu said, "No, this giant whale demon seems to have some kind of detection treasure on him that can detect the traces of the jade phosphorus ghost fire. Previously, these two came for the jade phosphorus ghost fire, but we beat them to it. Kong Jing wanted to exchange it with me after this." As he spoke, Laozu's mountain-splitting axe opened a hole in the barrier wall big enough for one person to pass through. He was the first to enter, and Lu Ping followed closely behind. However, just as Laozu stepped into the sixth barrier wall, and Lu Ping was still standing in the fifth barrier wall, two loud explosions sounded from the sixth and fifth barrier wall. Tian Kong Laozu shouted, "Not good, come in quickly." But it was too late. When the two explosions sounded in the two barriers almost simultaneously, Lu Ping already knew that he had fallen into someone else's trap. Sure enough, as soon as Laozu's voice fell, the explosion of spells came from the sixth barrier wall, and the hole in the barrier wall in front of Lu Ping rapidly shrank. Lu Ping looked back and saw Feng Shutao sneering as he rushed out of the broken barrier wall and pounced at Lu Ping. "Feng Shutao, how dare you cooperate with the primordial giant crocodile clan? How will your Xianling sect survive in the North Sea in the future? Will Dao Xing forgive you?" Tian Kong Laozu's roar came from the sixth barrier wall, but that didn't stop Feng Shutao from walking towards Lu Ping with a sinister smile on his face. But just as Feng Shutao was thinking about how to deal with this disciple that both Lu Tianling and Jiang Tianlin thought highly of, Feng Shutao's expression suddenly changed. A seven-colored light suddenly rose from Lu Ping's left hand, and he slammed his palm on the edge of the hole. The rapidly shrinking hole suddenly began to expand again, but Lu Ping's right hand shone with a six-colored light and slammed it on the hole again, and the hole expanded even faster. Lu Ping lowered his head and jumped through the hole. Feng Shutao's exasperated howl came from behind. "Seven-colored restriction breaking talisman? That's impossible." As soon as Lu Ping passed through the hole, Feng Shutao's attack came one after another. The flowing sword in Lu Ping's hand suddenly turned into countless rays of sword light. Each ray of sword light carried a ray of sword light, and they weaved a huge sword net behind him, firmly blocking the hole in the barrier wall. Crackle crackle. A series of cracking sounds could be heard. The sword net Lu Ping had set up was easily shattered by Feng Shutao. The aftermath of the spell continued to hit Lu Ping's body. At this moment, Lu Ping didn't even have time to activate his protective magic treasure. There was a muffled hum, and Lu Ping's face turned pale. He flew back, but Lu Ping still managed to block Feng Shutao's attack. Then Lu Ping heard Tian Kong Laozu's roar. Laozu's cry was mixed with the roar. Lu Ping turned around and saw Ao Dian Laozu rolling on the ground. The huge axe was flying back, and Ao Dian Laozu looked at the axe flying back to Tian Kong Laozu with a face full of fear. "This is impossible. How can you have a second tribulation spirit treasure? Ao Dien Laozu struggled to get up from the ground. Although Tian Kong Laozu's attack made Ao Dien Laozu look very miserable, it didn't actually do much damage to him. However, the impact of Tian Kong Laozu's mountain axe was too great. In just one exchange, Ao Dien Laozu and Feng Shutao's carefully planned ambush failed. Not far away, Feng Shutao was about to enter the barrier that Lu Ping had reopened when he heard Ao Dien Laozu's roar. What? Second tribulation spirit treasure? Didn't Jinling only have 4 spirit treasures? When did another one appear, and it's even a second tribulation spirit treasure? Could it be that Tian Xiang Laozu has given all the spirit treasures that Tai Shen Laozu inherited to Tian Kong? Feng Shutao's feet stopped moving. Without hesitation, Lu Ping charged at Feng Shutao. As long as he could use the formation to block Feng Shutao, the longer he could delay Feng Shutao in the gap, the more likely this ambush plan by Xianling sect and the primordial crocodile clan would fail. In fact, Tian Kong Laozu might even be able to turn the tables. It was impossible. When Ao Dien saw the second tribulation spirit treasure in Tian Kong Laozu's hand, he knew that today's plan was not going to succeed. Even if he could kill Lu Xianping, Tian Kong would lose his restraints. With a second tribulation spirit treasure in his hand, besides Dharma adepts, who else on Lone Peak could stop him? Ao Dien Laozu didn't even look at Feng Shutao, who was charging at Lu Ping to block the gap. He turned around and jumped into the protective formation that he had broken earlier. He even cast a spell that restored the formation to its original state. Seeing that Ao Dien had retreated, Tian Kong Laozu immediately retracted his aura and came to the side of the hole that Lu Ping was blocking Feng Shutao from entering. He raised his hand and signaled Lu Ping not to block and let Feng Shutao in. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.